Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much. This is the Village Council regular public meeting. The date is April 9th, 2025. The time is 7:32. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled the same as provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilmember Mortimer?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Perrin?
Here.
Councilmember Whites?
Here.
Councilmember Winograd?
Here.
Mayor Vagianos?
Here. Will you all please join us in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statement of funds on hand as of March 31st, 2025 be accepted as submitted.
I second.
Mortimer?
Here.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move that the Village Council minutes of February 3rd, February 10th, February 19th, February 26th, February 27th, March 5th, and March 12th, 2025, having been reviewed by the Village Council and now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes, with the exception
Vagianos.
of March 12th.
March 12th.
March 12th.
And Vagianos?
Yes, also with the exception of March
March
12th.
12th.
I'll abstain on that. I was not present. And now we have a lot of fun stuff going on tonight. So let's begin. Siobhan, will you begin with the tree planting proclamation?
Sure. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood is proud of its many trees which have contributed so much to the beauty and comfortable ambiance of the village, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heat and cooling cost, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife, and whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of the business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas Arbor Day is observed through the nation and the world in recognition of the importance of trees, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation for its extensive plantings and its program for the maintenance of trees. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim April 2025 as Tree Planting Month in the Village of Ridgewood and April 25th, 2025 as Arbor Day. And we urge all residents to plant trees to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands and to support our village urban forestry program.
Thanks, Siobhan. Frank, will you take the National Drinking Water Week proclamation?
I'd love to. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas drinking water serves a vital role in daily life, serving an essential purpose to health, hydration, and hygiene needs for quality of life our citizens enjoy, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our economy, and the quality of life we enjoy, and whereas the hard work performed by the entire water sector designing capital projects, operators ensuring the safety and quality of drinking water, or a member of a pipe crew maintaining the infrastructure communities rely on to transport high-quality drinking water from its source to consumers' taps. And whereas any measure of successful society, low mortality rate, economic growth and diversity, productivity, and public safety are some way related to the access to safe water, and whereas each citizen of our village is called upon to help protect our source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 4th through May 10th, 2025 as National Drinking Water Week. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank. Evan, will you take the Building Safety Award?
Absolutely, Paul. All right, so whereas our village's continuing efforts to address the critical issues of safety, energy efficiency, water conservation, and resilience in the built environment that affect our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster, give us confidence that our home, buildings, and infrastructures are safe and sound. Whereas our confidence is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians, dedicated members of the International Code Council, use a governmental consensus process that brings together local, state, and federal officials with expertise in the built environments to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect Americans in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. And whereas the international codes, the most widely adopted building safety, energy, and fire prevention codes in the nation, are used by most U.S. cities, counties, and states. These modern building codes also include safeguards to protect the public from natural disasters such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas the Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety are local code officials who assure us of safe, efficient, and livable buildings. And whereas Game On, the theme for Building Safety Month 2025, motivates people to get in the game and take part of learning more about and practicing building safety. And whereas Building Safety Month 2025 strives to ensure that the place where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are safe and sustainable, and recognizes that countless lives have been saved through the implementation of safety codes by local and state agencies. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, Americans are asked to consider projects to improve building safety and sustainability at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential services provided to us all by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Building Safety Month and encourages all residents to join in participation in Building Safety Month activities.
Thanks, Evan. Pam, will you take Older Americans Month?
Yes, I will. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood includes a growing number of older Americans who contribute their time, wisdom, and experience to our community, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood benefits when people of all ages, abilities, and backgrounds have the opportunity to participate and live independently, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood recognizes our need to create a community that offers the services and supports older adults may need to make choices about how they age. And whereas the 2025 theme is Flip the Script on Aging, focuses on transforming how society perceives, talks about, and approaches aging. It encourages individuals and communities to change stereotypes and dispel misconceptions. This year, join us in honoring older adults' contributions, exploring the many opportunities for staying active and engaged as we age, and highlighting the opportunities for purpose, exploration, and connection that come with aging. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood can promote the benefits of connecting with older Americans by transforming how society perceives, talks about, and approaches aging, encouraging individuals and communities to change stereotypes and dispel misconceptions, honoring older adults' contributions to our society, exploring the many opportunities for staying active and engaged as they age, highlighting the opportunities for purpose, exploration, and connection that come with aging. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2025 as Older Americans Month, and calls upon residents to join in recognizing the contributions of our older citizens and promoting programs and activities that foster connection, inclusion, and support for older adults.
Thanks, Pam. Siobhan, mental health?
Sure. Whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives, and whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions, and whereas there's a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being, and whereas mental health conditions are real and very prevalent in our nation, and whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives, and whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood is a stigma-free community, standing beside Ridgewood residents to break down barriers and encourage them to be mindful of their mental health and to ask for help when needed. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2025 as National Mental Health Awareness Month and calls upon the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, educate our citizens on the steps they can take to protect their mental health, and recognize the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
Thanks, Siobhan. And now we've got a bunch of really fun things to do, and we're going to begin by reading a proclamation to Health Barn, their staff, their leader. So the entire council is going to go down into the well, and I ask that the entire entourage from Health Barn join us there. Yeah, all you guys. Everybody come right over here, right along here. Hi, Stacy. Is this working? Here we go. Do we have everybody? Okay, good. So, for those of you who don't know Stacy Antine, she has dedicated her life to feeding people, showing people how to eat healthy, and for the last 10 years, she has been in Ridgewood doing this for our residents and for the surrounding communities. She is also, in her spare time, if there is such a thing for her, engaged in lots of wonderful community activities that benefit all the members of our community, and I have the distinct honor of reading the proclamation in honor of Health Barn, Stacy, and her wonderful, wonderful staff. So, whereas Stacy Antine, while earning her master's in food, nutrition, and dietetics from NYU, became deeply concerned by the alarming statistics that suggested this would be the first generation of children who might not outlive their parents due to unhealthy lifestyles. In response, she founded Health Barn USA in April 2005 on a local family farm, creating scientifically based healthy lifestyle curricula for children and families. And whereas Health Barn's mission to empower families to lead strong, energetic lives through hands-on nutrition programming has reached over 50,000 families and has been featured on major media platforms such as CNN, The Rachel Ray Show, PBS TV, and over 500 news outlets, both locally and nationally. Additionally, Stacy authored her first cookbook, Appetite for Life, Thumbs Up, No Yuck's Guide to Getting Your Kid to Be a Great Eater, which includes over 100 family-friendly recipes. And whereas in February 2015, Health Barn, in collaboration with the Village of Ridgewood Parks and Recreation, and with approval from New Jersey Green Acres and the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, relocated to the Gatehouse at the Irene Habernickel Family Park, initially investing more than $60,000 to renovate the space and create a safe and enjoyable environment for children and their families. Health Barn continues to invest in the facility by gifting a patio awning, rear garden, and now a community fruit and nut tree orchard open to the public. And whereas in 2015, Health Barn established an organic vegetable garden to teach children and families how to grow their own food, cook with the produce they harvest, and learn why this way of living is best for their bodies and minds. The garden continues to thrive and has been recognized as a certified schoolyard habitat by the National Wildlife Federation. And whereas in February 2016, Health Barn began the Healing Meals program funded by the Health Barn Foundation, this nutrition-based food gifting program has provided over 25,000 meals, soups, and snacks to families with children battling cancer, senior residents in Ridgecrest, Social Services of Ridgewood, the Franciscan Community Development Center, and more. To date, Healing Meals has logged over 5,500 volunteer hours. This is long because she's done so much work. It's amazing. Whereas during the pandemic, the Health Barn Foundation supported Ridgewood's Feed the Front Lines and helping those in need, purchasing meals from local restaurants to feed frontline workers at Valley Hospital, Ridgewood Fire and Police Departments, and other essential staff. This initiative was so successful that Health Barn secured a $4.7 million grant from the New Jersey Economic Development Authority to further support the community through the purchase of Ridgewood restaurant meals for individuals in need in Bergen County, which helped to keep Ridgewood Central Business District open for business during this difficult time. Between 2021 and 2023, more than 500 volunteers helped deliver these meals. The Feed the Front Lines team was honored with the Jefferson Award on September 20th, 2020, and was invited to ring the closing bell at NASDAQ on January 6th, 2023. And whereas Health Barn continues to support the Ridgewood community through partnerships with Ridgewood Parks and Recreation, including award-winning seasonal programs such as the Ridgewood Elder Thanksgiving Dinner, the Daffodil Festival, Earth Day activities, Scout groups, Somerville Dad's Night, Jamboree, and the Ridgewood Education Foundation, among others. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, does hereby proclaim May 9th, 2025 as Stacy Antine and Health Barn USA Day in the Village of Ridgewood in recognition of Health Barn USA's 10th anniversary in the Village of Ridgewood and the significant contributions that Stacy Antine and Health Barn have made to the health and well-being of our community, honoring their commitment to nutrition, education, community service, and local sustainability. Let's give Stacy and her crew a giant round of applause. I say it all the time, many hands make light work, and these hands right next to us are absolutely incredible. Stacy, will you please say a few words?
I'm usually never speechless. I just think that I'm so grateful to Ridgewood and the Ridgewood Village Council, to the fire department. I look out to the sea of familiar faces and the relationships we've developed, and we love Health Barn. We love the village. We love the gatehouse. We consider the gatehouse at Habernickel our home, and we hope it's another 10 years. And we're just so grateful the support that we get, the endless support. So thank you so much.
We are so fortunate to have you in our community. On behalf of the Village Council, I give you this proclamation. Did we get pictures yet? Are we good? Here, let's move in tight. Don't go anyplace. And so, I would now like to call up Police Officer Doug Boucher and Chief Forrest Lyons. And Doug's family, please. Doug's growing family. Who is this?
Can you say hi?
Say hi, buddy. Officer Boucher is being sworn in as a sergeant. If you'll repeat after me. I, Douglas Boucher,
I, Douglas Boucher,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all of the duties
and justly perform all the duties
of the office of Police Sergeant
of the office of Police Sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. Nobody ever waves at us. Did you notice that, Pam? And now I'd like to call up Officer Joseph DiBenedetto, who is also being sworn in as a sergeant tonight. It's the chief's first time. He hasn't done this. Repeat after me. I, Joseph DiBenedetto,
I, Joseph DiBenedetto,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will faithfully,
and that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform all of the duties
and justly perform all of the duties
of the office of Police Sergeant
of the office of Police Sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. By the way, you can see from the appearance of many people dressed in blue that this is the safest room in New Jersey right now. And it is because many of our police officers are being honored tonight for their service in protecting this community. This community that has been rated by various agencies as the 5th safest community in the country. It's because of these guys, and we're going to call them up. First, there are 2 who participated in a traffic stop that prevented a very serious crime, and then a whole bunch of guys who worked together to break up something that was very dangerous for our community. So I'm going to call up Patrolman William Malone and Patrolman Isaiah Walters. And I'm going to turn this over to Chief Lyons.
So I'm honored to issue these awards for honorable service in recognition of outstanding police work during a routine traffic stop which led to the discovery and removal of 2 illegal handguns, high-capacity magazines, and hollow-point ammunition. These officers' quick thinking, sound tactics, and commitment to public safety resulted in the identification of a known 1%er pagan gang member and the prevention of potential violence. I am extremely honored to award this to Police Officer Isaiah Walters and Police Officer Malone.
And we have more. I am now calling up Detective Captain William Amoruso, Lieutenant John Chuck, Sergeant John Ward, Sergeant Douglas Boucher, Patrolman Peter Youngberg, Detective Christopher Mormino, Detective Keith Killian, and Detective Kyle Montan. Will you all please join us up here?
Pushed all the way up. So this was a particularly fantastic piece of investigative excellence displayed by all of these officers. This was a long-going case that resulted in search warrants and just fantastic work that prevented something that could have been less than good for our community. So let me read aloud here. So all of these officers are being presented with a certification of merit, a unit citation, awarded to the Combined Patrol Investigative Task Force for outstanding performance during a targeted enforcement operation. The operation led to the arrest of a suspect involved in serious first and second degree crimes. A weapon was recovered and additional evidence was uncovered indicating possible involvements in crimes against children. This exemplary collaboration reflects the highest standards of law enforcement and a strong commitment to public safety. I could not be more proud to represent this agency and these fine officers, every single one of them.
Let's give them a big round of applause. Gentlemen, we cannot thank you enough for protecting our community 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Thank you again so much. Let's give them a big round of applause. Come on down, walk the line. Well, that's about as nice as it can get. And so, well, wait a minute. And so, let's get on with our meeting. We'll go to public comments.
Hi. Can you hear me?
We can. You need to
Okay.
speak right into the mic.
My
Jim.
name is Jim Bossler. I live at 821 Newcomb Road.
And
in
just so you know, and for anyone coming up, we just need to know if you're a Ridgewood resident or not.
Yeah, I moved to Ridgewood in 1983 and have been at the same place ever since. I also currently am the chairman of the Open Space Committee.
Jim, hold on just a second. We're going to...
Yeah.
Chief? No, we're not going to close it. He's just going to
What's that?
mention it to them.
Okay.
It's on.
All right. I'm currently the Open Space Chairman. I came here to speak in favor of the bond or the budget ordinance, and in particular the bond ordinance for
And Jim,
the,
could you speak a little closer into the mic? We just want to hear you
I
clearly.
came here in support of the bond ordinance for the parks and open space. Why I came here is basically, if you think about it, how much the parks and the rec really relate to the Ridgewood community. We do a series of park walks, and it's been a very successful program for the last year, where we took a group of individuals and anybody on the committee took them through the different parks that we have, and it took them and showed them the history, the services that they provide from the parks, and what types of parks we have, both active and passive. The program was so successful that we are again going to repeat it this year, and we intend to announce the schedule for those park walks within the next week or two. But anyways, again, I support this budget wholeheartedly, and I think the Open Space Committee does as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Good evening, council members. My name is John Prieto. I am a Ridgewood resident for 29 years, and I am currently the chair of the Citizens Safety Advisory Committee. I am here tonight. I'm on behalf of the committee. I wanted to express our appreciation to the Village Council on the bond ordinance for additional pedestrian-activated crosswalk lights. Also, we wanted to express our appreciation for the support of village officials for all their efforts to enhance safety of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hi, I'm Janice Furman, a Ridgewood resident for a very long time. I'd like to thank this council for being so supportive of the library. The line item for the library will enable us to renovate the bathrooms to be ADA compliant and other much-needed upgrades. Our library does so much with so little. We have the most amazing staff that go above and beyond every single day. The library is more than books. It is a true community center. There are programs every single day from toddlers to seniors. We're living in some very uncertain times, and I feel very confident that this council will be able to guide us through any and all challenges that we may face.
Thank you, Janice. And I want to take a moment to thank all three of you for serving on our committees, because we need all the volunteers in our village who so steadfastly and for so many years work toward the betterment of our town for the 26,000 residents. Thank you all.
Rorik Halaby, village resident. I'll be very, very brief. I felt so good to see what has happened at the meeting today, the awards that went to the police officers. And the three words I have for you are, yes, Ridgewood works. Thanks to the five of you and to Keith. Let me repeat myself. Yes, Ridgewood works. You should be very proud of you, and you have the appreciation of this somewhat senior citizen, if you will. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Rorik.
I am Brendan Corcoran, Captain, Ridgewood Fire Department, and father of fifth-generation Ridgewood residents. I'm here in support of the fire department budget, as Chief Judge introduced. I came just to highlight a few select line items as somebody who's in charge of safety and operations I found particularly important. In this budget, we're requesting $350,000 to add to the sinking fund for a new fire engine. Our backup engine, Engine 3.3, is a 2003 pumper. It's already past its 20-year mark. Engines are generally considered first line for 15 years and a backup for 5 years, and they should be replaced. We've already had some operational difficulties with that engine, and it needs to be replaced. We're looking at a 2 to 3 year delivery on if we ordered the engine today. And what used to cost $400,000 for an engine is now 1.1 to 1.3 million. Excuse me, 1.1 to 1.3 million dollars, and that goes up every year. So I think we need to stay on top of that. Secondly, $110,000 to replace the frontline command vehicle for the officer in charge. The lifespan on these are typically 5 to 6 years. We're already at 7 years. Even if we ordered that today, we would not receive it to the end of 2026, and as we know, prices are also going up on that. $20,000 for firefighter gear. The NFPA, the National Fire Protection Association, requires that firefighter gear be replaced every 10 years. We have several people elapsing that. We've been replacing as we go. They are now a full set of helmet, glove, coats, pants, hood, and boots is now over $4,000. The vast majority of the purchases we've made over the years on this has been subsidized by grants. So this is just a small portion of it, and that extra money is to take us over the top to get everybody up to code for safety. Lastly, the Signal Department requested $200,000 to replace the 2 of the HVAC systems at fire headquarters. 2 of the systems are original to the building, 1987. Wow. 1 is already broken. It is not currently working. They have to see if it's even repairable. And the second one is probably on its last legs, being the same age. I had a meeting last week with the chief and the Signal Department. We are coordinating with PSE&G. There are some grant programs where they install systems and be able to subsidize some of the costs. So we are looking into that, so hopefully we can cut it down. But the systems are dysfunctional and need to be replaced.
Thank you, Captain Corcoran. Yeah. And on behalf of the council, I want to thank you and the generations of Corcorans who have served and protected the residents of this village. Thank you so much.
Cynthia O'Keefe, Ridgewood resident. I think that there are so many things in our community that we can really be proud of. Tonight was a shining example that our police and, in my opinion, fire and people who serve and give of themselves, it's an amazing contribution to our community. But while we, give all these proclamations like you did tonight, I wonder what's really going on, because it seems very hypocritical to me. They sound great on paper. Just like a resume might sound, the person might look like a superstar, but maybe when you dig a little deeper, you realize that there's something underneath those layers. What I mean by that is, so you had the Arbor Day tree planting for the month of April, and that we're a Tree City, USA. But yet, with the Shedler plan, you're planning to cut down those trees. You will pull them all out of the ground. Our neighborhood, we depend on that green barrier, the green canopy that separates us from Route 17. You know that. We've said that many times. Many neighbors have shown up here, and yet you march forward and this is still your proposed plan. Clean water is also a theme for Earth Day, which is April 27th. You read a proclamation tonight about National Drinking Water Week. This is the height of hypocrisy. You know there are private wells that are on that property line at Shedler, and yet you're talking about putting artificial turf on that property that has PFAS in it. And Ridgewood Water is currently engaged in a multi-million-dollar lawsuit about PFAS. You can't have it both ways. So, I'd like for some smart thinking. We talk about safety and security. What about our safety? What about the neighbors? You look at all of us in our faces and you call us your friends. But are we? It's very hypocritical to me. I don't understand it. You went on and on about frustrated is an understatement, said Village Manager Keith Kasmark about the federal funds being taken away from Ridgewood, because I believe it was, you won an award, Mayor's Wellness Campaign, Healthy Town 2024. This is the giant fuchsia elephant in the room if you are planning on doing terrible things to the Shedler property. And we have asked you time and time again to take neighborhood considerations and, really dig deep. Use your moral compass. I haven't seen one change, and you will march forward and you will remove the contaminated soil as quickly as you can, I am sure, right? And then full steam ahead without any consideration to what that neighborhood has asked you for. It's shocking to me that you can sit here and read these proclamations. It's very hypocritical that you're talking about clean water and you know what you're doing to that neighborhood. I'm sorry, I don't agree with any of your plans to march forward with that property. And Shaban, so disappointed, the Fields Committee, you've got suitcases full of artificial turf. It's just a slap in the face. I really think the community needs to get smart about being green Ridgewood. Are we walking the talk? I don't think so. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Good evening. Bob Furman, Ridgewood resident, 35 years plus. I will not commit to those extra years. As a former longtime member of the Citizen Safety Advisory Committee, I'm here to support the bond ordinance, which includes a continued commitment to the safety in the village, the street paving, the bump outs, the sidewalk additions. All of these things are just wonderful things, and these the programs that with village safety involved, this council's done an excellent job in 2024, and I just encourage you to continue going forward in that direction in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else from the audience? Seeing none, we'll go to our residents on hybrid access. Jen Williams, you're up. You there, Jen? We're working on it. We should be good. Are you there, Jen? And yet somehow we are not. Hang on, we're working this out.
We need to play the Jeopardy music or something.
Jen, let's give that another try.
Oh, come on.
Try again. Jen?
Jen, you there? Okay, we have a workaround that we did last week, and we're going to try it again. Hang on one second. Jen, grab your cell phone.
Paul, do you have everybody's phone number in your?
No, I didn't.
How does that work? Is it it's like a Ridgewood directory?
It's an NSA thing.
Ah, gotcha.
Hello.
Hi, Jen.
Hi there.
Okay, we are all set.
Okay. I'm getting a little echo, so I'm sorry if I'm distracted. I wanted to, so I'm Jen Williams. I am a resident of Ridgewood for 8 years now, or 7, I guess. And I just wanted to thank the council for their good work and specifically building on what we heard from Parks and Rec and the library, especially today, when it comes to this idea of community and being compliant and making space for everyone to be able to enjoy. We're a part of a group at Ridge that is very interested in making our playground more accessible as a result of having an indoor accessible space there that students can use and celebrate, and then we'd like that to be replicated outdoors. And I'm so encouraged by what you're doing with Tabernacle and being thoughtful about having an accessible space there as the play space for the kids. I just think that that's wonderful. And my hope for the town is that we continue to do that all parks, all schools include something like that, but just really gratitude for the consideration that you guys are giving.
Great, thank you so much, Jen.
You going to the next guy?
Yep.
All right.
Got him.
I said I wanted to test it.
You did, but you were the prototype on this last week, so you know how this drill goes. So go ahead.
Thank you. Denise Lima. Do you hear an echo? Or are you okay?
We hear a little bit. I think we'll be fine.
Okay. Denise Lima, Ridgewood resident for 15 years. Thank you for all the awards to the police. Unbelievable gratitude. And then protecting the residents, fire department. That was a great moment earlier today. A few items I heard, several of the minutes being approved, but there's about 20 that are still missing. So maybe there's about 15 missing still from the website. So I think there's, if someone can just let me know when those are going to get up there. I also don't see on the village website the budget, the intro to the budget for 2025. Usually there's a resident-friendly version for people to see from a transparency perspective. And I looked under finance, news, projects, Bob Rooney's site, and I don't see anything there. So how best to get a hold of that so the residents can see what's kind of going on. I would echo a little bit of what was mentioned earlier about the proclamation about national drinking water, when in fact the quarterly report that came out from Ridgewood Water clearly states, and I'm just reading from the notification, that in the first quarter of 2025, we exceed it, Ridgewood exceed it, both the PFOA and the PFAS from the state. And that's going on almost 10 years now consecutively. It's not just a one-time thing. So I don't understand how in our good conscience we can have a proclamation about national drinking water. So I don't know if that's hypocritical. I don't ethically, I just don't know how we can stand up and say that. I see in tonight's agenda, there's a grant from 527 on the train trestle. That's great, but I think there's some residence costs comparable or matching. An explanation of that when you get to that section would be great so we understand how much we're going to be paying out of that. I also saw on the agenda, I believe at 535 East Ridgewood Ave, an opportunity for us to actually buy the easement, or I'm not sure exactly what we're doing with that easement. But that's the right of way that's near the flooding. So if we acquire that land, what are the impacts to the costs that the New Jersey Army Corps and Engineering would be paying on future maintenance and grants related to flooding if we now take on that section of the easement? And so I don't know if anybody's kind of thought about that. And I don't know if there's a follow-up on Fleet. Keith, I think we said there would be maybe a presentation on our fleet management, but in today's agenda, we're spending another $60,000 for trucks for the parks, another $523,000 for 2 trucks for sanitation. I saw a $2 million number for more trucks. So I think we need to, I'd like a follow-up on when that presentation might be. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. And I am being told that we should be all set with our technologies. So, Jeannie Johnson, you are up. You're on mute. There we go.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm
Ka-ching.
Jeannie Johnson, 325 Maston Place. I've lived there for almost 22 years. And first of all, I'd like to express my sincere, like everybody else, my sincere appreciation for the proposed pedestrian safety upgrades included in the bond ordinance. It was about 20 years ago. I was the grant writer for the first round of that equipment, like flashers and speed radar signs. And I've witnessed firsthand how effective those measures were in promoting driver awareness and enhancing pedestrian safety throughout the village, particularly in front of BF and Trebell and in front of Ridge School. So it's encouraging to see that Ridgewood is continuing to prioritize all of those critical improvements. And I am especially impressed with the proposed renovation of the pedestrian tunnel. Excuse me, the plans to repair the facade and upgrade the ventilation and lighting and install security cameras and hopefully add welcoming artwork are all really thoughtful and strategic steps that will make the tunnel a lot safer and much more inviting. And it'll be a great connection between the East and West Village. Excuse me, this tunnel has the potential really to become more than just a passageway. It's going to be a bright, artful, and secure, mostly secure part of our community and infrastructure. So by encouraging more school children, families, and shoppers to use the tunnel, we're going to make it easier for more, we're going to make it more appealing to travel between the east and west sides. So this is going to increase a lot of foot traffic, and it'll support small businesses in the central business district, ultimately boosting the entire economy, our local economy. So it's not just a safety initiative, it's also an economic and community building one. So investing in these enhancements is truly an investment in our future, which is a future where Ridgewood remains a walkable, vibrant, and welcoming place to live, work, and play. And finally, I want to thank all of you council members and the countless number of volunteers and the village manager for your vision your leadership, and your continued commitment to making Ridgewood the best it can be. I really do look forward to seeing these proposals in the bond ordinance become a reality, and to, again, watching Ridgewood continue to thrive. And of course, I'm pleased as punch that funds are being set aside for more park walks, because they are a treasure. And I'd also like to acknowledge our police officers and firefighters for their good work as well. And I finally just want to say we are so lucky to live in such a beautiful community. So thanks to all for making it so. Amen.
Thank you, Jeannie, and thank you for all the good work that you do for our community. Next up, Jamie Davis.
Good evening. How is everybody? Jamie Davis, Ridgewood was resident for, now I have to do math, 10 plus years, I think. Just wanted to thank the council for the financial support for the playground at Habernickel. You know, I also should mention I'm the chair of Access Ridgewood, and I just wanted to say, you know, the mission of Access is, you know, voices that the Village of Ridgewood is committed to providing its residents and visitors with a community that is always welcoming, always inclusive, and always accessible. To that end, we take great care to help those with special needs get the attention, services, and programs that they need, want, and deserve. And I think it's just important to thank you for putting your money where your mouth is, because I think the initiative of the accessible playground at Habernickel is doing just that. You know, at a recent Access meeting, we had Katie Fry and the contractor working on the playground come, and it was incredible to hear all the thought that's going into that playground. And we really enjoyed that because it really is so important to have these accessible and inclusive play spaces for not just the children who will use them, but for their families who would otherwise miss out, and also important for all the other children who may not need those accommodations to play with their neighbors and friends with disabilities and special needs. So I really praise the village for doing that, and look forward to seeing that playground through, and of course having Access be involved in partnering with the village on additional playgrounds that might come to fruition. So thank you, and voicing my support for all that happens in the village, but with this call in particular, the playground, which is so important, and it's going to benefit so many people. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And as I said before, for other members of our community serving on our committees, we thank you so much for shining a light on our special needs members of our community and working on the Access Committee. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and we will go to our manager's report.
Mayor, before I move to the...
Yes, sorry. Forgive me, getting ahead of myself. Does anybody want to comment on any of the questions or issues raised at public comment tonight?
I just have a few points of clarification, if I may.
Thank you.
First, I want to echo the mayor's statements to all of the volunteers who came out tonight or spoke on hybrid about this budget and about our capital bond ordinance that's set to be adopted tonight. I too want to thank you. As I say often, the engagement in the Village of Ridgewood when it comes to volunteers and people who step up to lead in this community. I've been a few other places, and it is second to none here in the village. So I just want to commend you for that. I do want to just make a few remarks regarding Ms. O'Keefe's comments. First of all, Cynthia, I just want to clarify, you know, the Shade Tree Commission has invested and advocated or asked this council to invest through their advocacy to plant hundreds and hundreds of trees in this village. I don't think there's another community in North Jersey that makes the type of investment in the planting and irrigation of trees anywhere around here. So to use the word hypocritical, I think is a little strong. While I can respect your position, and I always have, on the development of the Shedler site, I also think it's a little strong to say that it's a terrible thing to develop a park for children and families to play in here in the village. So with respect, and well, again, I don't appreciate being scoffed at, but especially when I led the comment with all due respect. As Councilman Weitz has said from this dais many, many times, you know, as Councilman Weitz has said from this dais many times, you know, just because there's a disagreement amongst what should happen with this property, It should never become personal. It should never become combative, and it should never become mean. But at the end of the day, you know, the investment that I've been directed to guide here, and you'll see it in the budget presentation tonight, is to develop a park on that property. A park. Not a strip mall, not a gas station, not a billboard, but a park. So again, I just think it's strong language to say that's a terrible thing. In addition to that, you talked about PFAS. I just want to remind the public, and I think it's worth repeating, you know, Rich Calby and I have reached out to you and reached out to your neighbors on at least 2 occasions. I know we had a meeting on this as well. And there always is that invitation, which I like to reiterate, for you and your neighbors to talk to us about hooking up to Ridgewood Water. I think there are ways that we can work together to accomplish that goal. And if you and your neighbors, you know, abandoned your wells and signed up to Ridgewood Water, at the end of 2026, we are going to be providing PFAS-free water, undetectable levels, due to the $150 million investment that this community is making to deliver PFAS-free water throughout the Ridgewood Water Service area. And I just think it's important to say. To Denise, one, the budget will not be posted until tomorrow. We can't post the budget until the council has introduced it, so that action will most likely happen tonight, and then Bob Bruni and his team in the finance department will post the budget for all to review. I too want to say to Denise, with regard to the PFAS investment, I don't think the word hypocritical is appropriate. Prior council allocated $150 million to invest in these PFAS treatment facilities. That is the reason that this village and Ridgewood Water was presented with an award from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. It's one of the reasons that we celebrate by the proclamation tonight this investment. And you're right, you are going to get 6 or 7 additional quarterly notices that the DEP requires. But keep in mind that it is a consent order with the DEP that requires us to build out these treatment facilities. And that process will be done in 2026, and you will no longer receive those quarterly notices because the water we deliver to the customers of Ridgewood Water will be PFAS-free. In addition to the easement that you discussed, that too is to build out one of our PFAS facilities. Certainly, if you have questions about that, feel free to email Rich Calby. I'm sure he'll be happy to fill you in on the necessity for that easement. New Jersey Transit, we talked last week. We met out there. We were in the process of working with them to try to get them to clean up underneath the train trestle at Franklin Avenue. The mayor's actually going to author a letter to New Jersey Transit making that request with a scope of work that's being prepared by the Village Engineering Department as we speak. And lastly, we are going to do a fleet management presentation to the council. I asked Rich after the last council meeting to start to prepare for that. But I will tell you that the vehicles, if you listen to the work session, the vehicles that are being proposed to be purchased by the various divisions throughout the village, those are replacement vehicles, in large part replacement vehicles. Just like your car, eventually you have to replace it, we have to replace the fleet, and we've gotten to a very successful, in my opinion, turnover schedule when it comes to police vehicles. And one thing you'll see in the budget tonight, there's no capital request for police cars. That's something that I asked the chief to work with me on when I first arrived here. We're now budgeting for all of our police vehicles through lease agreements rather than spending capital to fulfill the police fleet, and we'll continue to do that moving forward. That's all I have there.
I have 2 things. Do you want to go first, Evan?
Sure, I'll be somewhat quick, and I'm sorry to be somewhat repetitive, but you beat me to it, and I actually wrote some of the stuff down before you spoke. So I, too, want to thank all the wonderful volunteers and police and fire that were here tonight. You can't thank them enough, so I'm not going to stop thanking them, but appreciate everyone coming tonight. But I do think, respectfully, Cynthia, terrible things was a bit of an overstatement. To be clear, especially for folks that may not be familiar with the issue that are doing in tonight, over 15 years ago, the Village of Ridgewood stopped that property from being developed into what was likely to be a strip mall on Route 17. We heard the neighbors, or our predecessors heard the neighbors, did the right thing and stopped that property from being developed into commercial property along Route 17 so that our neighbors on that side of town would not have to look at the back of a dumpster or the back of a 7-Eleven. When the property was purchased, it was for the express use of the entire village and to build a full-size baseball diamond there. All right, and to be clear, there was a plan that was agreed upon by some of the neighbors in 2017 that called for a medium-sized turf field. And what we're advocating for is a regulation-sized turf field. These are not terrible things. These are disagreements between good faith neighbors. So I do think it's a little bit of an overstatement, Cynthia, to say that these are terrible things. I just don't think that's fair, and especially for folks who are watching for the first time, it's just again, it's just not fair and not factually correct. I'd also point out, in regards to some of the other statements, we are voting, I think it's several $100,000 worth of funding tonight for trees to be planted throughout the village. We are allocating $1.5 million to soil remediation to fix a problem that all of us inherited. None of us were here when that problem occurred, but we will be here when it is fixed. And that will be fixed very soon. Because of the support by Keith, the support by all the village council members to make sure that that property is remediated regardless of your opinion of whether there should be a full-size field or a medium-sized field on that property. So again, I always appreciate everybody's involvement, but I do think that we should be a little more careful with how we describe our opponents' positions. And again, just want to thank everyone who did show up tonight, either in support or non-support of the council, because all of you matter.
So I'm going to start with Denise. The easement, to answer your question, will have no impact on flooding because it's underground. So it's not like an infrastructure, and we did ask those questions, and we're not concerned on any effect for future flooding. That's one. Two, I too want to thank all the volunteers who showed up and advocated for their line items in the budget, police and fire. Thank you for being here and away from your families. I personally don't take things very personal about a project that's gone on for 15 years. What I do take personally, and I want to remind the community, is I am the Shade Tree liaison to 7 neighbors and 1 high school junior who, since I've taken my seat, have advocated for trees, advocated for alternate sources of funding. Let's talk about that. Deputy Mayor Perrin and I have donated considerable amounts from our stipend to trees. We're looking for alternate sources of revenue. We're looking for you to plant trees on your own property with your own money. I am not Shade Tree, but sadly 7 neighbors are and 1 high school junior. I just want to remind them that this year in the budget there's 200 street trees. We are inspiring the Willard area to adopt 100 saplings. If you wish to come and say hi to us, in a non-hypocritical way, we will be giving out 300 beautiful whips of red buds and dogwoods. So I want to thank Shade Tree for all their advocacy. I know that, because they're mine, they have been very intimate with this council and advocated very hard for that. Additionally, with respect to trees, the Norway maple is in Shedler. Over 100 of those trees are Norway maple. We've just highlighted them in our protective tree ordinance. The trees were always going to come down. The property was purchased. The tree removal was highlighted. This is not new. This is 2009. And when we talk about not listening to the neighbors, I want to be clear. The neighbors have asked for a house. It's $2.6 million house is there. Nobody wants the house now. The house has no shepherd. So all the neighbors asked for the house. We can't get anybody to partner with us on the house. As for parking, the plan has parking. As for a playground, it has a playground. Asked to have the gardens removed. We removed the gardens. The only thing with Shedler that is really debated over and over again is turf and the size. And we voted on it. And with respect to the statement of a suitcase of turf, as many of you know, Pam and I have met with multiple vendors to explore eco-friendly turf, which is a good thing. If we're going to do turf, which this council is wedded to through a vote, we're trying to find the most eco-responsible turf. We've also offered to share that information at the Fields Committee. So the Board of Ed is having discussions about potentially turfing other areas, and I said I happen to have a suitcase full of the turf samples that Deputy Mayor and I provided. So when those things are said, I don't want people thinking I literally am carrying a suitcase around, but I literally have a suitcase that I offered to the Board of Ed because they are our friends and they are our partners. Again, I don't take things personally, but I think at this point, I think the whole entire community could say the 99.9% of the argument in Shedler is turf versus grass and small-sided versus varsity. If we could focus on that, that'd be great. And if we could focus on the other areas that anybody else wants, we're developing this park now. So that's it.
I do think it's ironic that we are spending $150 million to clean PFAS out of our water system, and then we are putting a plastic carpet over an area that should be parkland, and that plastic degrades, ends up in our water system. By the way, the New Jersey League of Municipalities had an article in its magazine this week about plastic in our bodies. And we have about a plastic spoon's worth in our brains. This is what the League of Municipalities is telling us. And as I read that 2017 report, it didn't mandate artificial turf. It talked to the potential of artificial turf. Potential means maybe to me, but I realize that other people disagree with me. As to the easement on that property, it is necessary for the PFAS project to be completed. Keith mentioned the consent agreement with the DEP. We do need that property, and it's not for the purpose of acquisition. It's for the purpose of use. We wouldn't be buying the property. We would be establishing an easement, which is use, and this is an underground use. So once the pipes would be installed, we would cover it back over and send it back to the surface use that the owner now is counting on for parking space. That's all I have.
I just want to thank all the people that spoke in public comment. As Keith said, it's just so invigorating to see so much volunteerism in our village, and that people who run the different committees that showed up to passion because they're fighting for what they believe in for their committees is just great, and I'm just really proud to serve such a wonderful community. So thanks to all that showed up today.
Thanks, everybody. All good? Let's get to it. Keith?
Thank you, Mayor. First, I want to extend my congratulations to Sergeant Boucher and Sergeant DiBenedetto. Had the privilege to interview both of them on their promotions. Both were incredibly impressive, very dedicated and committed to the police work that is done here in the village of Ridgewood, and I just want to again congratulate them and thank the chief for a strong recommendation on both candidates. This week, I had the opportunity to attend the Ridgewood Japanese Association luncheon, and then today, the Friends of the Library luncheon. I just want to thank both groups for the invitation. They were both tremendous experiences bringing the community together, and I will tell you one thing, the library can fill a room in Ridgewood, New Jersey, so congratulations to all of them. I want to congratulate Director Bigos from our Parks and Recreation Division. We learned earlier this week that the Recreation Department has been granted a $70,000 local recreation improvement grant from the Department of Community Affairs with the state of New Jersey for upgrades to the Graydon Skate Park. So Nancy, I want to thank you and your team over at Rec, and Carol Balkowski, who handles the grant management in my office, for their work in this space, and we look forward to improvements to the skate park very soon. I also want to address that over the weekend, there were a number of rumors out there about a potential school shooting at Ridgewood High School. As it turns out, thankfully, those rumors were unsubstantiated. But I do want to thank Chief Lyons and the men and women of the Ridgewood Police Department, especially our Detective Bureau, who worked through the weekend to investigate those accusations. And I equally want to thank the leadership at the Ridgewood Public School, Dr. Schwartz and his team, who worked very closely with the Ridgewood Police Department to get good information out to the community, especially to the families at Ridgewood High School. So, Chief, thank you for your work on that. And finally, I just want to mention that we are still working through the proposed cuts from the federal government relative to the health department. Since I spoke on this issue last week, there has been an injunction filed, and there is a pause on those cuts from a federal judge. So Dawn in our health department and I are working on this daily, and we are going to do everything we can to advocate to keep our 2 full-time employees who do our public health outreach here, and to continue to provide those programs that we discussed last week. Just a few announcements. Online registration for Graydon Pool and the tennis pickleball badges begin on April 1st. You can register through Community Pass. If you'd like to do so in person, you can do so Monday through Friday at the stable from 8:30 to 4:30, or at the Graydon Badge office on Saturday, May 10th or May 17th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. At the pool. As a reminder, the 2-day per week irrigation rules are in effect. Odd-numbered addresses for irrigation are Tuesday and Saturday, and even-numbered addresses for irrigation are Wednesday and Sunday. No irrigation is permitted on Monday, Thursday, or Friday. Yardway season started on Monday, April 7th. Please check the Village calendar for your area for pickup. Village Hall will be closed on Friday, April 18th in observance of Good Friday. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup on that day, and the recycling center will be closed as well. The Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce presents Easter in the Park at Van Ness Square on Saturday, April 19th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. For more information, you can contact the Chamber. The RBSA Opening Day Parade will take place on Saturday, April 26th. The parade will begin at 9 a.m. at the Ridgewood train station, continue down East Ridgewood Avenue to Maple Avenue, and will end out back at Veterans Field. The 2024 Daffodil Festival and Earth Day Fair will take place on Sunday, April 27th at Van Ness Square from 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And finally, Village Council upcoming meetings. April 23rd is a work session. May 7th is a work session. May 14th is our next public meeting. And May 28th will be a work session. All begin at 7:30 p.m. And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thanks, Keith. Let's go to council reports. Frank?
No council reports here, sir.
Okay. Siobhan?
Sure. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who had the luxury of attending Saturday at Health Barn, where the 10 trees were dedicated. I know we were all there. So happy anniversary to Stacy and Walt's 10 years in Ridgewood. It's a 20-year anniversary. I too want to, because Lori is here, say what a lovely event. The Ridgewood Public Library, lovely and successful. It was wonderful to see the author luncheon and see so many people who love books and love our library supporting it. If you've never been, I strongly suggest you follow it next year and attend. It's awesome, and it's a fun, fantastic way to connect with your community and support our library. I also want to remind the general community that we are running an effort with the high school to sell street signs. So while clearly stealing a street sign is unlawful and we don't like it, my first year on the council, hundreds of them went missing. So this year we have partnered with Project Graduation. We've created a unique identifier, and we are proactively selling the street signs. It's a great gift for a graduate or an alum. If you want to do it, it also looks great in your home. And I want to thank Amy Beardsdorf and the Project Graduation team for running that. I want to thank the Signal Division and the police for partnering on this idea. It's a great way. It's a wonderful gift. So I strongly encourage everybody to do that. And because we won't meet next week, I want to wish everybody who's celebrating a happy Passover, and then the following weekend a happy Easter. I hope you're all able to enjoy whatever holiday you're celebrating with your families, and happy spring.
Thanks, Siobhan. I just want to be clear. When you say we're selling street signs, we're not taking them off the pole, right?
No. You can look online. No. They're uniquely identified, so we know you didn't take them off the pole. And it's through Project Graduation. But if you have a hometown street, if you want to decorate a basement, they're great and they're beautiful and it's wonderful. And as Evan will remember this, our first year on the council, literally 100 street signs were missing from up by the view. And my mother was driving around and she's like, well, what's up with the street signs? So hopefully no one would steal it, because that is a crime and we take it seriously. But if you want to have a fun gift and a memory of a street you grew up on or you currently live on, it's a wonderful way to do that.
Thanks, Siobhan. Evan?
No, I don't. In the interest of time, I don't have anything, but it was a good idea, Siobhan. Good Pesach and happy Easter.
Pam?
Speaking of street signs, one of the things that I've always loved about Ridgewood is that we have signs for the street you're on and the cross street that you're passing. Other towns don't do that. So I never know, what street am I on? Okay, that's the cross street, but what street am I on? And I really appreciate that about Ridgewood. The 20th anniversary for Health Barn was just a charming event. There were so many people who I never met before who also love Stacy and Health Barn. And they taught us how to plant a tree, and I realize I have made some mistakes in that regard. And I have a whip that I got at Earth Day from the Shade Tree Commission maybe 5 years ago, and I planted it. It's now 8 feet tall and in the wrong place, and it's a dogwood. So if anybody wants an 8-foot dogwood, give me a call. If you dig it up, you can have it. Let's see, while I was up there at the Habernickel Park, I saw the shelter is halfway up at least, and it is going to be a wonderful addition. It's beautifully sited in the park, and I think it's going to really work out well for all parties who use it. I also noticed that there are 2 picnic tables up there by the pond, so if you wanted to have a picnic, that's a good place to do it. My committees have not met this week since our last Village Council meeting, but tomorrow morning, the Central Business District Advisory Committee is meeting via Zoom. We have a speaker from the Business Action Center, that's a state agency, talking to us about what it offers to small businesses and also about the Transit Village status that Ridgewood could apply for. And also Main Street, what that offers to municipalities around the country. And then tomorrow night, we have Green Ridgewood and the Green Team meeting downstairs in the senior lounge. And we have a lot to talk about getting ready for the Daffodil Festival and Earth Day Fair on the 27th, as Keith mentioned. Don't forget, there is a Daffy Dog Parade, so if you have a dog who likes to dress up, the parade is a lot of fun. And you go to, let's see, it's the table where the veterinarian is. That's where you sign up and get your number for your well-dressed dog. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam. My committees did not meet, but I was at the library luncheon today. Lori, those people pack the house. I got to tell you, that is one happy crew of people. We are so fortunate to have this active, wonderful library in our community. There's a crazy number of people who visit that library every month. Not crazy people, a crazy number of people. And it is, and so many of them were at the Terrace today for a wonderful authors luncheon. I really enjoyed it. Tomorrow I will be with Water Director Rich Calby testifying before the Senate Appropriations Committee in the hopes of getting some funds allocated to build one of our water treatment facilities. So keep your fingers crossed. And that's all I have. So let's go right to our budget message, Keith.
Thank you, Mayor. First, before we begin, I want to thank all of the leadership here in the village, all our directors, especially Bob Rooney and his team in the finance department for all their work in putting together the 2025 village budget. This process starts in August and runs through to introduction tonight. We propose May 14th for final public hearing and final adoption. But this is something that takes months to put together. And for those of you who either participated in or were able to watch the Village Council budget hearings that we held, it's a back and forth. And at the end of the day, what we develop is a list of priorities. And that's really what a budget is, right? It's a list of priorities that we want to take on and that we can afford as a municipality. So we're going to start tonight by looking back at 2024, seeing what we've accomplished, and then we lay out a roadmap for where we will head in 2025 with this particular budget. First, in 2024, very proud to say that we reaffirmed once again our AAA bond rating with Standard & Poor's. We increased new ratables this year by a staggering $208 million. That has much to do with now including the Valley Hospital property, main campus, on our tax rolls. We've increased our budget surplus by almost $1 million over what it was 4 years ago. And we successfully negotiated collective bargaining agreements with our white-collar unit, our blue-collar unit, and our supervisors averaging just under 2%. We implemented a new time and attendance system to record employee time and attendance. We modified our drug and alcohol policies to require immediate notification of a DWI arrest or related violations. We hosted civil service training for Ridgewood leadership and at the request of the White Collar Union for our rank and file staff. And we launched a new updated vehicle tracking system to keep our employees safe. We launched the My Ridgewood app on the communications end. We added approximately 3,400 contacts, new contacts, to the reverse 911 emergency notification system. And I want to thank Jeremy and his team with OEM and Rich Calby over at Ridgewood Water for their work in that space. We called a lot of information from departments throughout the village to be able to enter in those 3,400 new contacts. We mailed a stay informed notice out to every village household so that folks could sign up for immediate communication from the village. And we launched an intern program throughout the village departments at the behest of Councilmember Winograd. We settled the town garage condemnation proceedings, resulting in the removal of the building and the start of the environmental cleanup. We worked with the New Jersey Department of Transportation to remove the dilapidated trailer at the Route 17 Park and Ride, and we removed the downtown bus station just recently. On the public works side, we resurfaced Oak Street, Cottage Place, Chestnut Street, South Walnut Street, North Walnut Street, and part of Dayton in the Central Business District in the spring of 2024, and you can just look at the pictures and see the comparison between the quality of our streets downtown prior to this paving initiative. We invested an additional $2 million in road resurfacing, curbing, and sidewalk projects, including paving at West Saddle River Road, Down Street, Union Street, Grant Street, Ferris Place, Demerish Street, Albin Court, Lynn Street, and through a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant, North Monroe Street. We also added ADA curb cuts throughout the village. We worked with Bergen County this year to resurface Ackerman Avenue. And just, again, good news for 2025, Maple Avenue from the Glen Rock border to the Ho-Ho-Kus border is scheduled to be paved this year. We awarded over $498,000 in repairs to the Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge, which is expected to return sometime around Memorial Day. We received $157,000 in Safe Routes to School funding from the New Jersey Department of Transportation, with a lot of help from our legislative team. Senator Corrado, Assemblyman Barlas, and Assemblyman DePhillips were instrumental in helping us secure those funds, and an additional $178,000 in federal funds for sidewalks through Congressman Gottheimer's office. We made upgrades to the aged equipment at the Water Pollution Control Facility. As our engineer, Chris Rudishauser, likes to remind me, the last major investment in that facility was 2005, and it runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So as you've seen, and even on tonight's agenda, we are making considerable investments in our wastewater treatment plant to keep it healthy and operational. We secured a lease to buy agreement for the sanitation division trucks. That ordinance will be on for final adoption tonight. And we completed the removal of all of the dead head meters in the CBD, including the ones near Mount Carmel Church. We installed sidewalks on East Glen Avenue, Clinton Avenue, and partially on West Glen Ave. We installed pedestrian activated crosswalks at Linwood Avenue and Fairfield Avenue and East Ridgewood Ave and North-South Irving Streets to heighten pedestrian safety. And there are additional allocations in tonight's capital budget proposal to add even more pedestrian crossings throughout the village. We planted 200 plus new trees in residential neighborhoods and 12 in the CBD, which completes our CBD tree planting effort. And we've also included new plantings at the View at the request of the residents, both on the top of the View and down below. We continued the volunteer Adopt a Sapling program planted in the Somerville district this year, and we launched Mulch Mondays to beautify the tree wells downtown. We announced the Big Tree nomination program in collaboration with the New Jersey DEP. We contracted for the removal of ash trees and performed a second treatment on ash trees at 171 locations throughout the village. We also layered GIS mapping with shade tree locations, which identify specific tree species and scientific details about individual trees throughout the village. We invested in new sod at Hawes Field to improve player safety, reestablished the 5th and 8th grade end-of-year celebrations at Graydon Pool. We implemented the Master Library Program for scheduling at Parks and Recreation, and we made significant enhancements to the parks information on the village website. On the police department end, we hired 3 new police officers in 2024 and 3 new police officers so far in 2025. I want to stress that we ended up in a bad habit. When folks retired, we weren't immediately replacing them. We're trying to change that direction. It is a challenge because recruiting new police officers is a challenge not only statewide in New Jersey, but throughout the country right now. But we are working towards the goal of completely replacing all vacant positions that we've had with the Ridgewood Police Department. We added 3 Class 3 special police officers through a shared services agreement with the Ridgewood Board of Education, and those officers are stationed at Ridgewood High School and at both middle schools. We're pursuing accreditation of the Ridgewood Police Department by the New Jersey State Police Chiefs Association. This is a complete review and update of all police rules and regulations. It also incorporates all of the Attorney General guidelines into the policies and procedures of the Ridgewood Police Department. And not only is that efficient from a law enforcement perspective, it's also a benefit when it comes to our insurance premiums. The Bergen JIF, which we are a part of, looks favorably upon police departments which are accredited because they are updated on all of their policies and procedures. And if we do have a legal situation when we go to court, we have the ability to substantiate that everything is up to date and current. We filled out the Ridgewood Police Department table of organization. We actually did it about a month ago, but you saw the public swearing in of the 2 sergeants tonight. So that brings our table of organization to be completely full. And we responded, the police department responded to more than 22,000 calls in 2024. On the fire department side, we hired 2 new firefighters in 2024 and 2 new firefighters in 2025. Fire department launched the Operation Blue Angel program in collaboration with Age Friendly Ridgewood, which provides for a lockbox on the homes of the elderly to allow the fire department or the police department immediate access if they're called to that address. They fully implemented the new EMS billing company, which has improved our revenues, and we also filled out the Ridgewood Fire Department table of organization. Also on the fire end, fire department has been very aggressive about pursuing grant funds. They received over $400,000 last year in grants. The breakdown of that is $32,000 from the American Rescue Plan, another $75,000 from the American Rescue Plan, almost $30,000 from the Firehouse Subs Grant Program, and the big one, $263,000 for the Assistance to Firefighters Grant. The fire department also responded to almost 2,700 fire calls last year and almost 1,300 EMS calls. On the OEM side, we revised and updated our emergency operations plan, which allows the village to remain eligible to receive FEMA reimbursement and other grants. We also successfully managed the Valley Hospital move to Paramus, and we posted and electronically shared the updated emergency planning guide for residents. On the health department side, we entered into a shared services agreement with MAWA for health officer services, and I'm pleased to report that there may be some opportunity to expand that shared services agreement with MAWA, and we will be sitting with the administrator up there later this month to discuss that. We continue to secure funding for public outreach and social services through 3 grants: strengthening local public health capacity, sustaining local public health infrastructure, and enhancing local public health infrastructure. And again, the latter 2 are the 2 that are somewhat questionable right now as to whether we will continue to receive funding from them. We were awarded the Healthy Town designation in 2024 by the New Jersey Healthcare Quality Institute. This is something that the Health Department has been striving for quite a few years, and we were finally designated last year. We revised the wildlife feeding ordinance in the village, which was introduced this year to be adopted tonight, and we implemented an employee wellness day program. We also updated the cat licensing ordinance and continued the Cards of Joy program. The library, the Village Council supported the launch of the new passport service program at the library, which has been incredibly successful. You can now renew your passport right across the street. And we made significant renovations and infrastructure improvements at the library, including quiet rooms, the teen room, art studio, the patio area, a new roof, exterior painting, landscaping, and gutter repair. Downtown, we conducted a special improvement district phase 2 study, continued the dining corral program for our downtown restaurants, leased village-owned assets, including the train station, which Boxcar is now operating the concession down there, and we launched the Opening a Business in Ridgewood checklist to assist new business owners looking to open up their business here in the village. On the recycling and sanitation side, we expanded the number of shred days in response to resident demand. We expanded the vegetable oil collection program at the recycling center. We expanded the use of the styrofoam densifier through additional shared services agreements, and we added the first electric vehicle to the fleet. In the area of flooding, we hosted a town hall meeting back in June of last year with the United States Army Corps of Engineers, which had more than 150 participants, either in person here in the council chambers or who participated on hybrid access, to discuss federal programming to assist with flood mitigation. And our big win last year was that we secured congressional approval by the United States Army Corps of Engineers to conduct a comprehensive study of the Saddle River and the Ho-Hocus Brook. We also created the Ridgewood Residential Flood Advisory Committee, which actually last week met with the Army Corps of Engineers for the first time. We responded to downed trees in the Ho-Hocus Brook and the Saddle River, and also the tributaries off those. And we performed a clean out of the drainage channel and culvert between the PSE&G right-of-way and the homes on North Irving Street. As we move to 2025, our goals and objectives. First, we will be installing a new bus station at Van Ness Square to replace the one that was removed. That will be funded in part by a New Jersey Department of Transportation grant. We're going to complete the West Glen sidewalk project, which right now we are negotiating easements with the residents, and we're also waiting for DEP feedback on the side of the road between Alpine and Heights. We're going to reinstall the Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge later this spring. We're going to connect the library to the shared generator at Ridgewood Water headquarters, and we are looking to settle the Green Acres diversion with the NJDEP now that we have our appraisals submitted to DEP. We're going to complete the build out of the field lighting at Veterans Field, and that should be completed in a few weeks. As the Deputy Mayor indicated, we're going to finish the construction of the new pavilion at Habernickel Park. We're going to finalize testing and begin the soil remediation project at the Shedler property, and those funds are proposed in the bond ordinance tonight. We're going to install cell antennas at Village Hall to improve reception from the Old Valley Hospital campus all the way to the train station. And we're going to secure a new bus shelter at Ridgewood High School from New Jersey Transit. We should have that up sometime this summer. We're looking to secure a tenant for the Shedler House, reinstate the Shedler Park Development SHPO application this year, obtain grant funding for the train station for the pedestrian tunnel, and we're looking to finalize the Franklin Avenue environmental cleanup projects and begin the required DEP testing both at 132 Franklin and at 120 Franklin. We're looking to break ground on the final 4 PFAS treatment facilities in 2025, looking to conduct a comprehensive downtown parking study, which Bob Rooney is working through with a potential consulting firm at this point. Looking to work with New Jersey Transit to make improvements to the train trestle over Franklin Avenue. And we're looking to expand shared service agreements for leaf composting, food scraps, and radio communications with some of our neighboring towns. We will continue to actively engage stakeholders after the closing of the Warner Movie Theater to advocate for a performing arts center in that space. And we're looking to build out the OEM Operations Center at the Douglas Place Emergency Services Facility that is also included in the bond ordinance this evening. So at this time, I'd like to invite Bob Bruni and Rich Calby up. Grab some chairs, gentlemen. So Bob's going to walk us through the current fund budget first.
Good evening.
33, Bob.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for coming tonight.
Pleasure.
33. Ready? Go ahead.
So the budget that we're presenting to council for consideration this evening reflects union contract increases for salaries and wages in the following departments. Police for $111,000 with 2.5% increase for this year. Fire $151,000 at 2.75%. Blue collar $203,600 with 2% increase. Supervisors $22,000 for 2% increase. And actually a reduction in white collar of approximately $100,000 with a range of 1.75 to 2.25. The budget reflects a debt service decrease of approximately $1,400,000. Health benefit increase approximately $849,000, and pension cost increase of $403,000.
And if I could just comment on that. First, I think we should be proud of the negotiations and the agreements that we've come to with all of our respective unions. We're under 3% on all contracts and average out about mid-range there. The one thing I will tell you is that with regard to our debt service increase, because I know there was a lot of back and forth inquiries last year about the debt service, our bond sale in January paid off notes from 2024. So we saw a reduction in bands and interest on bands. To Bob's credit, he is very methodical about the timing and how we work through our debt service with the help of our municipal auditor, and that's why you see a decrease in that line item of 1.4% of $1.4 million. The other thing I want to point out is on the health benefits side and on the pension costs. Understand that $1.2 million is essentially out of our control. We get a bill on both from the health benefits side and from the pension side from the state of New Jersey. There's no ability to negotiate that. That's a fixed cost that has to be entered into the budget.
So the summary for the current fund budget: total current appropriations are $64,770,957. Reserve for uncollected taxes $1,230,000. Debt service $6,393,237. Salaries of $26,154,906. Our anticipated revenue is $19,581,342, resulting in an amount to be raised by taxation of $42,256,311. Next schedule shows our budget history over the last 10 years. This year we're anticipating $3.9 million, which is the lowest that we've used in the last 5 years. And Rich, I'll give it to you.
If I may on that, Rich, before you go, I think that's worth highlighting. If you look at that top number, 3.9, we have a history of using north of $4 million. Last year, if you look at the 5.5 million, remember we were coming off the 22% increase in state health benefits and $2.6 million from the American Rescue Plan that we did not have in 2024. So that money fell off. So keep in mind, there was some justification for using that much surplus. We're trying to be more conservative and take a conservative approach so that we have a healthy surplus moving forward. All right, we're going to move to Ridgewood Water. Rich?
All right, thank you.
So in addition to the many great accomplishments on the village side of things, the water utility, I want to also highlight accomplishments in that department. In 2024, we installed and rehabilitated 1.4 miles of new water main to replace aging infrastructure throughout the 4 municipalities that make up Ridgewood Water. We launched new communication tools and initiatives, including a service advisory map to identify outages in our area. Refined our construction activities page to summarize all the activities that are going on for the utility construction-wise. Started Ridgewood Water Weekly that we share on our social media outlets, on our website, and with all our stakeholders. It's a great source on how to learn about what we do and how we do our jobs and identify what projects are coming up next. Started our water conservation campaign and achieved the ability to enforce ordinances throughout all the municipalities that Ridgewood Water serves. And the lead service line replacement program page was also launched as part of the website. Additionally, Ridgewood Water was identified as the inaugural recipient and received the New Jersey DEP Our Water's Worth It Award. We launched the lead service line replacement program, which created uniform adoption across 4 town service area with all 4 municipalities approving the ordinance and shared service agreements that are required for that. 500-plus residents have responded so far and signed up for the program, and 200-plus homeowners have done replacements on their own. So this is having a great effect already, even though we haven't even gone out to bid and started our own contract. We secured construction contracts for another 6 PFAS treatment facilities, and they'll be active by the end of 2025, and secured as part of that an additional $4 million in principal forgiveness through the iBank, and increased up to 75% of our loans to be interest-free from 50%. So that's a great plus. Goals for this coming year in 2025, we are going to restructure the treatment division in Ridgewood Water to implement a facility maintenance division to organize a strategic approach to general maintenance of all remote well sites, prioritizing aesthetics and mechanical repairs of those facilities now that we're reaching the end of our PFAS improvements. We're going to complete an update on system hydraulic modeling and review recommendations for improved transfer of water between our system zones so that we could avoid situations like occurred this past fall with the boil water advisory. In addition to solving that problem, we're going to install a booster station on Glen Avenue to increase flow and transfer from the low pressure area affected by the boil water advisory this past September. We've launched...
Rich, if I may on that, I just want to let the council know, I don't think I mentioned this, but Rich and I actually met with Midland Park, which was the epicenter of the boil water advisory notice last year. We updated them on the progress on the last 2 bullet points that Rich just mentioned, and they are exceptionally pleased with the speed that Ridgewood Water is working to address this issue. We anticipate by late spring, early summer, we should be operational. And that should prevent a similar situation that because of significant lawn watering and other water usages during the warmer months, that we fall back into the potential of a boil water advisory. These solutions are going to avoid that moving forward.
Yes. Thank you. We have launched already a collections program to recover uncollected revenue in excess of $1 million. The unpaid bill recovery program is through a third-party billing vendor, and they're already contacting customers that have those accounts that are in arrears. We've improved the strategic communication and imaging within our customer base. That's a goal for this year as well. We're going to complete construction and activate the Ravine, East Ridgewood, West End, and Prospect PFAS facilities. We're going to continue to seek out grant opportunities and recover funds through as many avenues as possible, including the one that the mayor mentioned for tomorrow's hearing. And we're going to break ground on the final 4 or 4th row water main contract that will complete all the connections of the satellite wells to the treatment plants that make up the Grand Master Plan for PFAS removal. We'll also break ground on the remaining 4 PFAS treatment facilities, and you continue to follow our PFAS operational strategy and aim to deliver as much PFAS-free water as possible, including recent addition of taking and purchasing water from Hawthorne Interconnection year-round. We were able to winterize that interconnection, are taking 700 gallons per minute from that interconnection daily now.
And I just want to note, Hawthorne water is completely treated now for PFAS. So the more water we purchase from them and bring into our system, there's a reduction in our numbers as we purchase from the borough.
And finally, on lead service lines, goals for this year is to complete the engineering design and put out to bid our first contract and award it for the replacements that the homeowners have signed up for. We're going to continue to identify the remaining unknowns through hydro-excavation, in-home inspections, or customer surveys, and continue our outreach and communications to customers to hopefully increase customer participation in the program to get the highest amount of replacements and program response and avoid opt-outs and mostly opt-ins.
So the operating budget proposed for 2025, current appropriations of $24,474,622, debt service of $5,409,474, salaries of $5,147,974. We're anticipating revenue of $20,126,821, and utilizing surplus of $4,347,801. Parking utility budget. Current appropriations proposed, $2,788,878, debt service of $775,000, salaries of $650,602, budget revenue $2,328,450, and utilizing surplus of $460,428. The 2025 proposed budget is $1.2 million under the tax levy cap and under by $5,000 in the appropriation cap. Our 2025 assessed valuations were $6.1 billion, and our 2024 is $5.9 billion. Municipal taxes projected for 2025 are at the rate of 0.6890. 2024 actual municipal tax rate was 0.6680. The budget presented this year has no cuts in service to the residents of Ridgewood. The assessment of that .021 increase per hundred of assessed value is over the 2024 tax rate. The 25 average home in the village is valued at $712,700, up from the $710,168 in 2024. Municipal taxes for 24 were $4,761. Proposed for 2025 is $4,910, an increase of $149.63 on the average home, resulting in an increase of $12.47 per month. Our municipal increase will be 3.14%, which is consistent with the rate of inflation.
So I'll call your attention to the tax bill on the screen. There are 6 portions of your tax bill: the county tax, the county open space, the school tax, the library tax, the local municipal tax, and the municipal open space. Click to the next slide. The municipal is just over 24% of the total taxes collected. The municipal open space is less than 1%. The library is 1.6%. The county is 10.8%. County open space, again, is less than 1%. And the school taxes make up 62.8% of the total taxes collected from a Ridgewood taxpayer. We'll move to the capital budget. All of these expenditures are on second reading tonight. Road paving in the amount of $2.25 million, and the sanitation trucks for $435,000 are in a separate bond ordinance. They were introduced prior. The train station pedestrian tunnel, we have allocated $400,000 for that project this year. That will not be enough to complete the entire project, but what it will do is it will enable us to successfully apply for grants, because we'll be able to illustrate that there's a partnership and that we have skin in the game. Drainage and brook river projects, we have $105,000 allocated for that. That will be on top of $431,000 that we have in open capital. So that'll bring our number above $500,000. That's an important point because in talking to the Army Corps of Engineers, some of these mid-range projects will require a 50-50 match between the Army Corps and the municipality or the DEP. So that'll give us some money to work with in trying to undertake some of these mid-range projects with the Army Corps of Engineers. The soil remediation project at Shedler is $1.5 million. Again, this is a number that is somewhat of a work in progress, but based on the fact that it is conclusive that the entire berm will need to be removed, and some soil through the grid sampling on the level piece of the property will also need to be removed. This is a very good estimate which comes directly from Matrix Engineering. The firefighter gear, as the captain mentioned earlier, this is a $20,000 allocation that we're working to maintain annually so that we can continue to rotate and upgrade the firefighter gear that they need to protect themselves in the event of a fire. The fire engine replacement, again, we're putting $350,000 aside for the sinking fund. That's on top of the $250,000 that we allocated last year, and the replacement of the command car, Car 38, of $110,000. And that will get us the car, the vehicle, and will also allow us to outfit it properly to be the command vehicle on site. We have $55,000 advocated for library carpet replacement and $130,000 for library restroom upgrades, which will include ADA compliance. The Emergency Operations Center that I mentioned earlier, we're looking to establish that at the Douglas Place facility. That's $100,000. Looking to upgrade the response vehicle for OEM, $10,000. Looking to replace desktops throughout the village. That's an allocation of $65,000. The grade and pool fencing is a $56,000 expenditure, and our goal there is to completely fence in grade and pool. As you know, families are there, small kids, summer camp operates out of there, and we want to keep it as safe as possible for our young people. The grade and pool sunshades, this became a priority this year in light of the fact that we lost a significant tree there last year. So we are looking to provide some additional cover during the summer months at the pool. And the Maplefield Sinking Fund, which has been an annual contribution for as long as we can remember, of $50,000 for the time that that turf is no longer of use. The Groundsmaster 5900 is grass cutting equipment for the Parks Department, $147,000. Our residential tree planting this year, which will reap us 200 additional trees to be planted throughout the village, is $160,000. The Habernickel ADA Playground, the balance of that project is $139,000. That's on top of the $68,000 grant that we have from the Department of Community Affairs Recreation Improvement allocation. Police vehicle outfitting. This is to outfit the police cars. This is not to lease the actual police car, $145,000. We have F-350 replacement vehicle for recycling. Again, to Denise's point earlier, this is replacing an existing vehicle that is no longer in service, $63,000. The upgraded hot box trailer for our streets division, $44,000. Fire headquarters HVAC replacement, $200,000. Pedestrian activated crosswalks, $35,000, and that's on top of the $16,000 that we have in previous open capital. Building improvements at the Recreation and Parks facility by the Recycling Center, $30,000. And then last year, we did introduce two items under a capital ordinance that were put against the $7.5 million that we allocate annually, and that was the soil testing and the archaeological study for $350,000 at Shedler, and the improvements to the water pollution control facility for $478,000. That brings our total allocation for 2025 to $7,486,000. Go back to gross debt, and I'll turn that to Bob.
So the gross debt for all the capital funds is as follows. General fund is, for bonds and notes, is $61,900,000. Water is $80,276,000. Parking is $11,950,000 for a total of $154,132,000. Bonds and notes authorized non-issued in total are $117,661. The majority of that is in the Water Department for the debt authorized for the PFAS treatment plants. The grand total for all funds of capital outstanding is $271,793,967.
Million.
270.
Oh, million. Good catch.
And I just want to say that when we did the Standard & Poor's call earlier this year, this slide that you're looking at now was the real focus of the discussion. And I have to tell you, we have the ability, sans water, because we have a consent order to build $150 million worth of PFAS treatment facilities. But on the general capital side, sticking with a static number of $7.5 million a year and actually sticking to that number, even if you have to do things a little early to credit to the ensuing year's capital budget, was something that we discussed at length with Standard & Poor's. And they were very satisfied with where we are with our debt service and how we keep consistent on an annual basis. So with that, our public hearing and final adoption is scheduled for May 14th at 7:30 p.m. We will, at that point, have an open public hearing specifically on the budget before the council considers adoption. Any questions?
Can you go over that again?
So again, I just want to thank all the directors and the employees for their work on this. Again, this is a long, arduous process, but I do think that we have been able to present a budget this year that is affordable, that is consistent with the rate of inflation these days, although it's a moving target in the last week or so. But we are working every day to try to control costs here. And I have to tell you, I think we've had a significant cultural shift with how we approach this budget process. I'm proud of this budget. I'm proud of what the staff has been able to present to council. And I do appreciate the feedback that council provided during the budget hearings that brought us to this document you're looking at tonight.
Yeah, Keith, I know I missed the last budget hearing, so I didn't have a chance to speak at it. Listen, if it was up to me, it'd be 0, but 3.1% is outstanding. To do that with no cuts to village services, to keep our AAA bond rating, to do all the projects that you just went over, all while costing our citizens an extra $12 and I think 50 cents on average a month more than what we were paying last year, given the rate of inflation. That is a very fair number for the amount of services and projects that we were providing to the citizens. So I want to thank you. I want to thank the entire team for, I think, under the circumstances, or really under any circumstances, was a really well done job. I also thought the presentation, for those of you that could not watch or be here for the meetings we had during the first half of the year, were outstanding. They were well presented. Materials laid out well. It was easy for us to understand. It was easy for us to provide challenge and get answers. Really well done. And I think the citizens of the Village of Ridge should be very proud of their municipal services and their municipal workforce.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to tag on that too, that when I really liked how you had everything that you accomplished in 2024, not being on the council, and to just see that is quite amazing. So I just want to say great job to you and to everyone who works for the village. It's just amazing the amount you're able to do. So thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate what the administration accomplishes and helps us understand. I feel like we're in really good hands. So I appreciate that. And also, this presentation, the font, the colors.
Well, that's why it was so many slides, because we took a little heat on this font size last year.
Can you in the audience see what's on these slides? Okay, that's a first. And to our communications director, if you just write this up as a format that we can have for anybody else who wants to make a presentation here, I think this is a good format. So let's use it again.
I think she was talking about the font size, but yes, it's done in PowerPoint.
I just want to say, clearly it's getting late, but I am so grateful, one, to be able to work here, and two, to live here. I mean, seeing our first responders, it's just an amazing place to live. And every budget cycle, I'm grateful for the debate amongst council that makes us better. And thank you for Keith, Matt, the clerk's office. I mean, I can't even imagine how much paper you guys have pumped out in your office as well. So thank you for everything. And Ridgewood is really a wonderful place to live, and this just proves it a little bit more.
And to Denise's point earlier tonight, the budget will be posted tomorrow, so it will be available for public review, especially as we head towards the public hearing and final adoption. And I think we will also post this PowerPoint presentation on the website as well, so people can thumb through and see what we discussed here tonight.
And I have to take a moment and say how impressed I am with the administration, with senior staff, with the department heads, all of whom are here tonight to make sure that this goes clearly and smoothly. This is absolutely a goal-oriented administration. You people do such a great job. Our job is to make sure you're doing your job. And of course, the residents are here to make sure we're doing our job. You're the ones who make it work for everybody. We are very, very impressed. We are very happy with this. The list of accomplishments seemed to go on forever. It was absolutely amazing. The 3.14% budget increase, we don't have final numbers, but the Northwest Bergen Association of Municipalities, there were 13 municipalities. It would appear that we have the second lowest budget increase of those 13 municipalities. We're going to confirm that. One municipality was in the 7% range, and others in the 5 and 6% range. So I want to put it into perspective how good this is. It's very impressive. And by the way, and I have to echo, this presentation, magnificent. Really, really good, very understandable, very clear, very readable. Thank you all for everything you do every day.
Oh, one more thing. I would add to the accomplishments that we passed the ordinance on stormwater management that is more forward-thinking than any other town has passed in the state, I'm pretty sure.
And Mayor, just on the comparison to the neighboring municipalities, again, not everyone has introduced, and some are under state review, so they're waiting for approval from the state. But it would seem that we're the second lowest out of the 13, and the only one that is has a lesser percentage increase than us is Hohokus. And there were some anomalies with that budget, which were to the benefit of their borough. But yeah, it seems as if the only one lower is Hohokus this year.
Gentlemen, directors, thank you all. On behalf of a grateful council and town, thank you all so much.
All right, so let's vote on it.
Jennifer.
I move the first reading of ordinance 4046.
I second it.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4046 by title?
Calendar year 2025, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 40A:4-45.14.
I move that ordinance 4046 be adopted on the first reading and that May 14th, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolution, number 25-185, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. The resolution will be read by title only. In 25-185, increase deferred school taxes.
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolution, number 25-186, will be considered separately and read in full. Whereas the Division of Local Government Services requires that the governing body of any municipality which has deferred school taxes must authorize any increase in the deferral of any additional amounts, and whereas the village desires to increase deferred school taxes to an amount permitted under state statutes, now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that deferred school taxes be hereby increased for the year ended December 31st, 2024 as follows. Amount deferred 12/31/23. This is not the right one. I apologize because I did not read the...
Yeah.
Thank you. This is Resolution 25-186, Municipal Budget Notice of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen for calendar year 2025. Whereas the following statements of revenues and appropriations shall constitute the municipal budget for year 2025, and whereas that said budget shall be published in the Ridgewood News in the issue of April 18, 2025, with a public hearing to be held on May 14, 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby approve the following as the budget for the year 2025. General appropriations. Appropriations within the caps. $51,714,393. Appropriations excluded from caps, $11,826,564. Reserve for uncollected taxes, $1,230,000. Total general appropriations, $64,770,957. Less anticipated revenues other than current property tax, $19,581,324. Amounts to be raised by taxes for supportive budget, $45,189,633. Public notice, Village of Ridgewood. Notice is hereby given that the budget and tax resolution was approved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen on April 9th, 2025. A hearing on the budget and tax resolution will be held at Ridgewood Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey, at a regular public meeting to be held on May 14th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
Mayor, through you, I'd like to thank Bob for his service, and I'd just like to ask Rich to stay for the 3 public hearings for Ridgewood Water ordinances this evening.
All right, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks,
Thank
Bob.
you, Bob.
I move the clerk read ordinance 4037 by title on second reading, and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second it.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4037?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move that the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4037 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4038 by title on second reading, and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4038?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 269 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Water at Section 269-8, entitled Piping System Compliance Right of Access.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4038 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4039 by title on second reading, and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4039?
Bond ordinance providing for various water utility improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,992,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,742,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second that.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4039 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 25-187 through 25-188, are to be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. Each resolution will be read by title only. Award emergency contract, repacking and restoration of airstripping tower, Wharton Dyke Water Treatment Facility, authorized change order, asphalt trench patching.
So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
Thank you, Rich.
All right,
Thanks, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Oh, Rich, before you go, are you going? Oh, you staying? I move the first reading of ordinance 4047.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 4047 by title?
An ordinance authorizing the acquisition of certain real property easement interest within the Village of Ridgewood.
I move that ordinance 4047 be adopted on the first reading and that May 14th, 2025 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4040 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second it.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4040?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 156 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Food and Food Handling Establishments, Article 1, General Provisions at Section 156-2, Definitions.
The public hearing is now open.
Good evening, Boyd-loving Ridgewood resident. Just a procedural question. All of these ordinances have been advertised that they are available for people to call in as well. Is that correct? I yield to. Are we checking to see if somebody is calling in?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Oh, excuse me.
I haven't heard.
I didn't understand your question. Forgive me. Yes, I have it right in front of me.
Okay.
No one has raised their hand.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4040 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yeah, I would like to say, before I say yes, that I think this is great. It'll make things easier for the health department. And so, yeah, I'm very much in favor of this, so yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4041 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yep.
Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4041?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, fees at Section 145-5, general fees.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yep.
Vagianos.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4041 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4042 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4042?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 105 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Animals at Section 105, Article 8, Wildlife Feeding.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes.
I am excited to move this ordinance 4042 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I would like to second the motion as well as the deputy mayor's excitement for it.
Mortimer?
Yeah, this is, I think, going to really help out a lot of people where feeding of wildlife has gotten out of control and is going to help the quality of life for a lot of neighbors. So, yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes, and while I am happy to pass this ordinance, I have to say I'm concerned about the excitement of some of my colleagues. But yes, and let's move on. I move the clerk read ordinance 4043 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4043?
An ordinance to rescind and replace in its entirety Chapter 260 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Trees and Shrubs, and previously adopted ordinance number 3682, which amended Chapter 260, and to establish a new title for Chapter 260, Tree Protection, Removal, and Replacement.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
Second time's a charm, so I move that the ordinance 4043 be adopted on the second reading and final publication as required by law.
Actually, this ordinance has been in many different iterations, and I second the motion. It only gets better and better.
Mortimer?
I'd like to thank the Shade Tree Commission, Council Member Winograd, for all the work that they put in to make this a really solid and beneficial amendment. So I'd like to say thank you and yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
I'd like to thank the ordinance committee, of which I'm gratefully not a part of, but thank you very much. And yes.
And Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4044 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4044?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 241 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Skateboards by renaming the chapter Skateboards, Scooters, and Micro-Mobility Vehicles or Devices in the Central Business District, and adding definitions and restricted vehicles and devices.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes, and I just want to comment that for those of you who are unfamiliar with what this ordinance says, this will make our streets and central business district, actually our sidewalks in our central business district, much safer. There has been an outpouring of electric skateboards and other electric vehicles that people have been using on the sidewalks of our central business district that have made it very, very tricky to navigate there. So I am grateful to the police, the manager, the clerk, and everyone who worked on this, because I think it's going to be a very good thing. The next step is, of course, getting the word out to everyone that this will no longer be allowed in our central business district. And my vote is yes.
I move that ordinance 4044 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yeah, on behalf of the Citizen Safety Committee, I know that they're very happy about this. So I want to say a big yes.
Perrin?
This also covers regular bicycles that are not motorized. Can't ride those on the sidewalks of the Central Business District either. They can be dangerous as well. And I'm eager to see how this goes in terms of enforcement, and our chief of police is here, and therefore at the end of the summer, like September or so, if you could let CBDAC know, the Central Business District Advisory Committee, how enforcement is going. And I vote yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
I too vote yes. I want to wish the police the best of luck in the enforcement. I'm sure it's not going to be easy, and I want to remind every family this is a good opportunity to talk about this with users in your house, because it's a big issue for our downtown, for pedestrian safety, and the more that people talk about it individually with their own children and members of the community, the better it'll be. Yes.
And Vagianos?
I echo Siobhan's comments. Parents, please sit down with your kids, have this conversation. So many of the people who ride these vehicles in our central business district are teenagers. I implore you, before someone is seriously injured, please work with them to ensure that that kind of tragedy does not occur. And with that, I vote yes.
And that includes, this covers the Hudson Street garage as well. You can't ride a skateboard down that ramp.
Correct. And moving on, I move the clerk read ordinance 4045 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4045?
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,092,190 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,887,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 4045 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 4034 by title on third reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
I second that.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 4034?
Bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $2,765,550 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of, is this the right one? Yes, it is, okay. $2,627,050 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing on ordinance 4034 was continued from the March 12th meeting due to the fact that there were not enough village council members present at that meeting to adopt a bond ordinance, which requires at least 4 votes in favor of the ordinance in order to be adopted. The public hearing is now continued. Seeing no one, I move the public hearing be closed.
I second it.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes, I just want to say that my first budget cycle, we deferred this garbage truck. And I'm so excited for Sean and the department that 2 years later, we're finally doing that. And that goes to long-term planning. And while he's not here, I want to thank him. And I want to thank this council because we consciously waited, and this is very exciting. So, yes.
And Vagianos?
And the excitement of my colleagues still concerns me. Yes.
Very exciting.
I move that ordinance 4034 be adopted on third reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Mortimer?
Yes.
Perrin?
Yes.
Whites?
Yes.
Winograd?
Yes.
Vagianos?
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 25-189 through 25-216, are to be adopted by a consent agenda with 1 vote by the Village Council. Each resolution will be read by title only. Title 59, Approval and Award Contract for Tree Irrigation. Award Contract Insecticide Injection for Emerald Ash Borer. Award Contract Disposal of Ground Yard Waste and Grass Clippings. Award Contract Billing of Basic Life Support Services. Award Sole Source Contract Programming Updates to SCADA System Water Pollution Control Facility. Award Sole Source Contract Software Support for SCADA System Water Pollution Control Facility. Award contract under state contract, camera system for Police Detective Bureau interview room. Award contract under state contract, spatial data logic software. Award contract under county contract, untreated rock salt. Award contract under county contract, 2024 Ford F-350 Super Cab Parks Department. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing System, vehicle tracking subscription, various village departments. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing System, liftgate for Ford F-350 SD Super Cab Parks Department. Award contract under Sourcewell Cooperative Purchasing System to Freightliner Rear Loader Packer Truck Sanitation Department. Award contract under Educational Services Commission of NJ Cooperative Pricing System, purchase of equipment, service, and licenses for access control and CCTV, Office of Emergency Management, Headquarters, 33 Douglas Place. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission contract, 4-inch submersible trash pump, water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission contract, purchase and installation of digester gas safety equipment, supply and installation of 2 gas sediment traps, water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission contract, purchase and installation of 2 digester roof gas swivel connections, water pollution control facility. Award contract under North Jersey Wastewater Cooperative Pricing System through Passaic Valley Sewerage Commission contract, 3 Penn Valley sludge pumps, water pollution control facility. Award professional services contract, third-party engineering inspection services, structural repair of Kingsbridge Lane pedestrian bridge. Award professional service contract, historic architectural services, grant writing assistance, and restoration of brickwork at entrance to pedestrian tunnel at train station. Authorize cancellation of real estate property taxes on tax-exempt property, Block 1411, Lot 13. Authorize refund of real estate property taxes paid on tax-exempt property, Block 1411, Lot 13. Authorize community energy planning grant through Sustainable Jersey PSE&G Energy Efficiency Partnership Program, technical assistance for energy consumption in village facilities. Endorse submission of recycling tonnage grant. Authorize application to New Jersey Historic Trust for a grant for restoration of pedestrian tunnel at train station. Endorse Revolution NJ's commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, and appoint member to Community Center Advisory Board. Can I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Mortimer,
Yes.
Perrin,
Yes.
Whites,
Yes.
Winograd,
Yes.
Vagianos.
Yes. Let's go to public comment.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Boyd A. Loving, Ridgewood resident. At the work session earlier this month, Councilperson Winograd announced formally that the next meeting of the Fields Committee would be held, quote, in person at the Shedler House. I questioned why the meeting was only going to be held in person, since traditionally that meeting is Zoomed, it is recorded, so that people who are unable to attend in person can attend by Zoom, and it is recorded so that people who miss the meeting completely can watch it at a later date. I wrote to the manager about my concerns, and I received a response from him indicating that there is no Wi-Fi at the facility. When I suggested maybe a hotspot could be used, the answer I got back is that additional IT infrastructure will be needed beyond a hotspot.
Mr. Loving, I don't normally interrupt speakers, but we've rectified that, and there will be a Zoom option at that meeting.
Thank you so much.
There you go.
And there you go.
Good point, though, Boyd.
Good evening, Ann Loving, Ridgewood resident. I need to say that I am tired of hearing that we can agree to disagree. You can disagree on opinions, but you cannot disagree on facts. It is a fact that Forever Chemicals are known to cause a list of diseases as long as my arm. It is a crime, in my opinion, that 4 of you are steadfastly ignoring this dangerous fact. She's not in the room at the moment, but I would like to thank Councilwoman Perrin. Another fact fact about facts is that as we learn more from science and from experience, we change our behavior. I've said this before at the mic, just pretty recently. We never used to use seat belts. We never used to use car seats. At one time, cigarettes were considered safe and sexy. At one time, artificial turf was hailed as a wonderful invention. Now, we know better. We know better about these and a myriad other things. And yet, for reasons that defy common sense, 4 of you deny the science on plastic grass. Some of you say that your feelings are hurt when a resident expresses sincere frustration and dismay at your decision to ignore the science to the detriment of residents of the Shedler area and children who might play on your toxic field. I'm sorry, this is not about your hurt feelings. I mean, seriously, you should change course, plan for grass at Shedler, and actually apologize for taking so long to face reality. If I may read a quote that is not mine, quote, "A sign of intellect is the ability to change your mind in the face of new facts. A mark of wisdom is refusing to let the fear of admitting that you were wrong stop you from getting it right. The joy of learning something new eventually exceeds the pain of unlearning something old. Please, I implore you, change your minds on the artificial turf. It is not a sin to change your mind, and it can often work out very well. There's a very intelligent man in this room who was very sure, almost 50 years ago, that he would not marry. Then he looked at some facts and changed his mind, and it actually worked out unbelievably well. Please, I beg you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else in the room? Seeing none, we'll go to hybrid access. Saurabh, you're up.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your service and thank you for giving this opportunity to speak remotely. A few things. One is I heard the $208 million increase in rateable when Mr. Kazmak mentioned that, and primarily or majority of that came from Valley Hospital. I remember Ms. Sonnenfeld mentioning Valley Hospital tax that they will be going after, village will go after a tax for Valley Hospital.
Excuse me, Saurabh, could you speak just
Yeah.
a little more slowly? The connection is not so good, so I don't think we can, I can't understand every word, so if you wouldn't
Can you
mind.
hear me now?
Thank you.
Okay. So I was talking about the Valley Hospital tax increase or taxing the Valley Hospital property. And I was happy to hear that it is now part of our ratables. Can you hear me? Can you understand this portion now?
Yes.
Okay. So my question on that is, if our municipal portion of the taxes was around 42 million, I don't know the exact number from last year, but this year it was presented as 42 million, the municipal portion. If that portion is 42 million, and if our municipal portion is increasing by 3.14%, 3% of 42 million would be about $1.2, $1.3 million. The Board of Ed increase is about $2.some million. So the total tax increase for property taxes for Board of Ed and municipal tax increase should be 3 million or change. If our tax ratables have increased by 208 million, and that is increasing our tax by 6 million or so, why is per household tax increasing between 2024 and 2025? Per household tax should actually be decreasing because our ratables have increased and our tax base has increased, so total tax will increase, right? So the tax on each household should go down this year, because what I'm seeing online is just Valley Hospital is giving us 5.2 million for 2025, and we also have Q4 of 2024. So if we are getting money from them in Q4 of 2024, if you are getting $5.2 million from them in 2025, all of that should decrease per household tax for existing households. It should not increase per household tax 3.14%. If per household tax is increasing by 3.14%, then your municipal tax rate is not increasing by 3.14, it's increasing much, much higher because ratables are increasing. When Board of Ed says that we are increasing 2% our tax basis for local taxes, property taxes, per household tax is increased by 1.9 or 1.89 because the ratables also increase. So that's my question, that what was the total municipal tax in 2024? What is the total municipal tax for 2025? And does municipal government not have a cap? Can municipal government keep increasing more than 2% every year? Or are you using some sort of waivers every year? So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh. Cynthia, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, okay. I just wanted to clarify a few points based on, your, I guess, feedback on what I said. And, a lot of times, we're going to agree to disagree. I
Forgive me,
said that-
Cynthia, you did not state your name and whether you're a Ridgewood resident.
Cynthia O'Keefe, Ridgewood resident, same as it was.
Thank you. Yep, we know.
So, what I take issue with the Shedler plan, and again, we're not disagreeing on pizza toppings. Shaban, you say it's the size of the field and the artificial turf. Yes, artificial turf, as many people have called in over the past year, some who are not Ridgewood residents, but it doesn't really matter where they live, microplastics and the danger of PFAS and microplastics and the shedding and hundreds of pounds of shedding, where does that all go? It goes somewhere. There are heat islands. There are all kinds of things that happen when you put artificial turf in. It is bad for the environment. I don't think anyone's disputing that, except like you guys want to make a case and, except for Pam, who, I think is a very intelligent person and she has done her research. Maybe your suitcase doesn't include that, Shaban, but maybe it should. You said your son's a soccer player. There's a soccer coach, Amy. She has Amy's list, hundreds of people who've gotten cancer. It's got to be happening somewhere or somehow. You said that the size of the field was the only other little thing that we disagree on. The size of the field was not the size of the field that it was when you ran on your platform. It doubled, I believe. I don't have the exact dimensions. I believe Ellie Gruber has brought it up many times. When you talk about invasive trees and cutting them all down, does that mean that invasive trees all over Ridgewood will be cut down? The public clamoring and use of the house has nothing to do with the Shedler neighbors. If we weren't spending our time disagreeing with you over the use of the property, which is really not fit for purpose to have a giant ball field on a historic property on Route 17 on a busy road, we could have been helping you with finding residents for the house. But instead, we're using our time in a very unproductive manner, which is, again, very frustrating, respectfully. So, and it doesn't have anything to do with the neighborhood. When you talk about the use of the house, it's not our fault that you can't find a tenant for the house. I know you have invited the sports groups to the house on May 6th, which is a Tuesday morning, I believe, at 8 a.m., when there was school bus pickup of children on West Saddle River Road. So, and you're telling people to park on the street. How is that going to work? I just find it a little confusing because nobody can park on the property. There are just so many variables to this plan that I do think are terrible. And that is my opinion. Whether you share it or you don't share it, it really, is, I guess, there's no value in it if you don't see our neighborhood as a community.
Cynthia, you're over your
Yes.
time, so if you could finish up, please.
Yes, hundreds of people signed a petition against that overdevelopment of that field. That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to clarify. And again, I don't agree. I hope SHPO does not agree. And I hope they see Channel 12 News tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Cynthia. Anyone else?
Rorik Halaby, Ridgewood resident. Talking about facts, let me relate a story. And I hope I'm not offending my wife, but I would say she is a green thumb, and I would say it's a fact that she's probably the greenest thumb in Ridgewood. Now, when she had knee replacement surgery, she was told she couldn't garden for 3 months. It's like taking a fish out of water. The reason she couldn't garden for 3 months is because it's a fact that she risked cutting herself and then getting a soil bacteria to get into her system. Now, this idea of being so manichean, of red light, green light. You know, life is a blinking orange light. Now, this idea that, and I was really offended, Pam, frankly, when you refer to the field as being one plastic carpet. Now, there are risks, many, many risks to having a grass field. The seed has to be imported from Oregon. Believe me, it isn't native. It has to be very, very seed, grass that can allow a lot of playing. The field has to be seeded twice, which means it's taken out of action. It has to be fertilized, organic fertilizer, you know where that comes from? These huge industrial farms, these huge pig farms. This is what you're feeding the grass. The grass has to be mowed once a week. Okay, it has to be, chemicals have to be applied. And you know what happens sometimes when you apply chemicals? Hey, Harry, what do I do with the extra stuff? Oh, dump it in the back. Dump it in the back, it ends up in someone's well. Now, to me, you just have to be correct. And I say to the four of you, stay the course. It's imperative that we get people out, that we get people to play, that we get people to play sports. Okay, get them off their tablets, if you will. And if it means having a turf field, so be it. Does it mean a turf field is risk-free? No, it isn't. But a grass field also is very, very risky, if you will. And to lecture you about the fact you're basically so ignorant of science is ludicrous. Frankly, the mark of arrogance is for someone to have a monopoly on knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Rurik. Anyone else? Seeing no one, I'm going to close public comment, and we will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, excuse me, I keep getting ahead of myself. Forgive me.
That's okay.
Forgive me.
So when
Responses to the comments.
When there are questions about the committee, I know there was a general discussion at the Board of Ed regarding the Fields Committee. People can just write me. We had a sidebar conversation going, so I was surprised. No one wrote me, but we do want to get IT supporting it, and that was a conversation. So just write me, and I will answer for the statements I made. Number two, okay, I'm going to try. No one's blaming anybody for the situation at Shedler because it is a community problem. It is a problem for the general taxpayer and who has paid over $7 million of capital dollars into a park that has failed to come to fruition. It's not the neighbor's fault. It's not this council's fault. but it is a problem for Ridgewood. It is a problem because a generation of children, of which mine were part of, were not able to use that park. So it is a community problem. I ran on a campaign of artificial turf. The 2017 plan had neighborhood buy-off. It had members of the community from the Shedler neighborhood who recommended Cool Play turf. I ran on a campaign of turf. Yes, I ran on small-sided, and until we had persistent flooding, which is a fact that we lost multiple assets, I changed my mind. So let's be clear. The neighbors and the Friends of Zabrishli Shedler, all the people who sat on that committee recommended turf. Evan ran on a campaign of turf. It was always been turf. With respect to the house, I don't understand how it's become adversarial, but it is an asset. It is empty. If you leave your house empty and you don't check on it, your insurance will lapse. If we leave property empty, we have the chief of police here, it will become an attractive nuisance. We are now paying, on top of the capital investment, additional taxpayer dollars to heat it, to furnish it. Again, not the neighbor's fault, but this is a community problem. And why I'm disappointed in the outreach is I joke, but I am the only one literally shopping this house around. I brought Access over. I've brought lots of the Bergen County Historical Society over. We are going to, as a council, and we should probably talk about this, I want to bring the Fields community over there because they have a lens. We've brought open space, we've brought HPC, and I fully intend, in the condition it's in now, to bring every and all committee over there because they all have different lenses. If anybody has a determinative use or an idea, I'll bring you over. And I'm going to open the house and I'm going to bring people over because we have a financial situation with the house there. At no point have I blamed the neighbors. No one's really hurt my feelings. I don't really have feelings about this project that way. It's not personal for me. It's making a series of decisions based upon facts. But the Fields Committee is going there because that's an important lens, and I'm going to just take any committee, and if any of you want to bring any committees, please bring them to the house. The more we go over there, the less likely there is to be damage to the house. I'm not going to fall into the grass versus turf, but I would like to say that it's a shared suitcase. Pam and I packed it together, and it's not just mine, and the suitcase thing has gotten so out of control. But inside that are samples where we, and it's good faith as yin and yang, went and met with people, and I can't understand how that's a bad thing. And if anybody would like to see the suitcase, I can bring that to the house as well.
Mayor, just two things. One, there was a terrible echo with Mr. Donnie, and I don't want to answer a question that wasn't asked. So, Sir Rob, if you're still watching, feel free to drop me a text or email tomorrow morning, and I will get on a call with yourself and Bob Bruni, and we can answer any of the questions you have about the additional ratables or the tax increase, and we'll do it over the telephone, or we'll even entertain a meeting. But the echo was a challenge tonight. Secondly, I just want to go back to some research and a remark that I made at a prior council meeting. And that is that if my memory serves me correct, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection last year allocated $5 million to fund artificial turf throughout the state of New Jersey. This is the same DEP that is held in high regard and referred to as an authority when it comes to environmental concerns that residents in Ridgewood and throughout the state of New Jersey have. So the word hypocrisy was thrown out here tonight, and I just want to highlight the fact that you can't rely on the DEP in one regard, regardless of the matter, soil contamination, environmental concerns, what have you, and hold them as the standard, yet then not question why they would give out $5 million worth of Green Acres money to communities throughout the state of New Jersey to fund artificial turf if the DEP doesn't deem it as safe. So again, I'm not here to make a policy decision on turf versus grass. That's not my role and function as the manager. That's the role and function of the governing body at the time that they're seated. I am here with the professional staff in the departments to carry out the direction we are given by the council. But it's hard to sit up here and not look to as many times as the DEP has been pointed to by members of this community as an authority on environmental issues, yet we ignore the fact that they gave out $5 million to build turf fields throughout the state of New Jersey. The other point I want to make is I've done some research on the House. Now, I wasn't here, I didn't sit in the seat when this community invested $2.6 million to restore a house based on Dutch colonial architecture. But I've read minutes, I've watched council meetings talking about weddings that were going to be performed there, meetings that were going to be held, potential tenants that could take over the house. Yet tonight, we're proposing to have a meeting of maybe circa 25 to 30 people on a random Tuesday morning in May. And we're getting pushback about having a meeting because we might interfere with children getting picked up for school. So again, the word hypocrisy was thrown around tonight. You can't advocate to invest $2.6 million of taxpayer money, whether it was through a grant or through a bond or came out of the operating budget, and then turn around and say, but we don't want anybody in the House, even the 30 people that are going to meet for an hour and a half on a random Tuesday morning and talk about fields.
And the House.
So when, in the House, yes, in the House. So again, we talk about hypocrisy, and I'm just still learning some of this stuff, but I think we really need to think about the positions we're taking, and let's try to be consistent, because as the village manager in this town, that's what I try to do every day.
And I think you're absolutely right, Keith. I know the comment I heard tonight was that it's not our fault that you can't find tenants to be in the house. And I find that a little frustrating, because to me, a lot of the folks that have said that are the same people that strenuously advocated to pump $2.6 million of tax dollars into restoring the house, but now seemingly don't feel that they have any commitment as part of a member of this community to try to make the house useful. That house will cost us money going forward. It has cost us a ridiculous amount of money now. To have it sit fallow is absolutely horrendous.
Absolutely.
And so I would challenge the Friends of Shedler, I would challenge those folks that felt strongly about preserving the house to step up and help us find some way to now make that house useful. So I do think it's our problem. I don't think it's this council's problem. I think it's this community's problem that we should solve. On the turf piece, and I don't want to keep going back and forth on it, but I know those that oppose it present the argument as if this is scientific fact. Yet the position that you advocate has not been adopted by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. It has not been adopted by the state of New Jersey. It's not adopted by any state. Of the tens of thousands of municipalities in the United States, only a handful have adopted the position that you advocate for. There's no real medical consensus on this. There's one or two doctors that I know have been pointed out to us, but there are lots of studies that oppose those. And so to present that this is scientific fact, I think is a gross overstatement. And again, I come back to the fact that reasonable people can disagree on this. And we talk about hypocrisy. Some of the strongest advocates in this town to be able to get more use out of that property by having turf field in there are the same folks whose kids will be on that turf. Yes. As we've said before, when we talk about hypocrisy, and I've said this before, when there's a turf field next year, there will be at least one soccer jersey with my last name on playing on that field. There will be lots of people who advocated for turf because it is in the best interest of our kids who will have their last names on some of those jerseys next year. So to call them hypocrites, again, it's a gross overstatement, and it's really not a fair statement either.
And Mayor, I'll just say that at the end of the day, I think one of our strongest arguments with the State Historic Preservation Office is the fact that we have a dormant piece of property right now. You have an empty $2.6 million investment. Well, what is going to attract people there? Usage. What's the proposed usage that the Village Council has given direction on? To have people come there to participate in a park, passive recreation, walk paths, active recreation on a ball field. That's going to bring people to that facility and thereby attract attention to the $2.6 million investment that the Friends of Zabriskie and all of the residents during that time period advocated for to be deemed historic and to be reinvested in. And that's where we are. And quite frankly, in talking to the State Historic Preservation Office, it's one of our strongest arguments as we reactivate this application.
So I just also want to say on a more positive note, when the house was, one of the goals was to integrate, after the closure of Glen School, that community with the rest. So the more that the rest of Ridgewood goes to that property and sees the house, the better it is. I'm very interested in what the community wants to see in that house. And I just want to say, Frank and I had a sidebar discussion, but for all of our committees, because it's a municipal asset, clearly I'm up the earliest and the quickest to take the first step, but we should bring all our committees there.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
what I was
think
gonna
all
say.
of you who haven't, you should take the time. You should check the water's not leaking, check the windows and all of that, but we should start to have a standing meeting there once a month so we bring more people in. So I'm going with Fields
Good
in May.
suggestion.
Yeah,
And
and I wanted, like, 2 points I wanted to make. Since, Keith, I think it was so great of how you outlined what you would accomplish in 2024 and what goals there are for 2025. And since one of the goals is to find a tenant for that house, then I would challenge the council and as well as, we had so many great residents that spoke today to say that, so I would challenge us to have one of our committees, all of our committees meet there at least once this year, because I think the more people that are exposed to the inside of that house, that might trigger some kind of use that we could get out of it. And I see that being beneficial.
And ditto staff meetings. I mean, why not, right? Why not have a police meeting there? Go check it out, get some ideas. I mean, it's just sitting empty right now, so the more that we do that, the better it is. And that will get more engagement, more presence, and more interaction with the community, which was always a rally cry. So I think the council should think about it. I think we have several directors left. Ridgewood Water at the Shedler House. Go
Yeah.
for it, Rich, come on. And so that's all I want, because I think we need to be more positive in our next step, and that's what I think we should do.
And I wanted to make one, go ahead, Pam.
I'm really disappointed in the DEP. Normally, I do look to them for guidance, and I don't think they've thought this through. Have they come out with a statement? What happens to artificial turf when it's exhausted its life? And have they tracked whether it's really being recycled, or are they just caving to the pressure of the manufacturers? I do like your idea. I will suggest to my committee's meeting at the House.
I'll pack your suitcase.
Your shared suitcase.
You can borrow it.
But I still think that there is not enough evidence of the safety of the artificial turf to increase the burden of PFAS on our children, which is cumulative, and the particulate matter, the VOCs that are given off, and the undisputed heat island effect that they create, and the increase in impervious surface. I know the manufacturers claim that it is permeable, but I don't see that that is really possible once they steamroll and flatten the area to get it level with their heavy equipment. I don't think it'll be actually permeable. So I hope that conclusive randomized studies actually come out that give us confidence in the safety of artificial turf one way or the other.
I wanted to end on we started this whole meeting with a lot of positive stuff, and we've invested in our parks. I want to end with a nice story that this past week, my daughter is playing lacrosse, and there was a girls' lacrosse game at Maple Field, and it was raining, but there was all these parents and everybody happy to watch their kids play. And the lights came on, and realized how those LED lights stay there. And it was just such a glorious time and made you feel good to be part of Ridgewood. And that's what we're doing in this town. And again, I want to thank you and all the administrators for making it possible that we can continue to make Ridgewood one of the best towns in the country. Thank you.
Thanks. And I'm going to go against my better judgment, and I'm going to say something about this because I really try not to prolong this issue, but it was suggested that we should keep open minds about these things and do the research. When I was a candidate for council, I sat at this dais during the debate, and as many people know and have pointed out, I advocated for grass fields. And then I sat down with a bunch of people, and I did my own research, and I looked around, and not only did as has been pointed out tonight, not only does the DEP in New Jersey and the EPA, but every state Department of Environmental Protection in the country has not ruled against artificial turf. And so I kept an open mind. And I changed my mind. I changed my mind in support of turf. And so please understand that we do keep open minds. At the end of the day, that open mind might not agree with someone else's open mind. And that's all this is. And so when we talk about the science and the facts, the DEP, the EPA, and the DEP of every other state in the country goes by science. And none of them have said that this playing surface is dangerous for children and adults to play on. And with that, I'm going to entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Rich Calvi, do you want to sleep over the shit?
Good night.
What? What? You what? Why not? Dude, you can make that happen. Did you just do it? I did do it. I'll buy snacks. I'll pay for breakfast one if you make it happen. And send me a photo.
Would you bring your own?
I got real furniture. I got real furniture donated. These big chairs, real chairs.
Would you let him read this thing so I go?
Dude. Good luck tomorrow.
Then
Toss a protein shake. Let me know.